The Indycar Series is in the Sonoma wine country, and we're here for the penultimate round of the 2006 championship season. Weldon on the outside, at the stripe, Weldon! Every spring, the season starts at square one. The beginning builds as preparation for the big one.
And a teenager win in Indianapolis!
The month of May belonged to Sam Hornish.
And Sam Hornish Jr. has beaten Marco Andretti.
As we traveled this road, some rose to the occasion.
Scott Dixon poised to repeat here in Watkins Glen.
Some fell short. She is just furious. Others weathered the storm.
Castroneves is in victory lane here in the IndyCar Series.
It's the tightest points race in IndyCar Series history. 4 drivers remain with the best chance to fulfill the dream of a championship. This week, the road twists through wine country. Just 2 races remain on the road to the 2006 IndyCar Series Championship. And we welcome you live to Infineon Raceway in Sonoma, California for race 13 of 14. Today it's the THQ Indy Grand Prix of Sonoma. The championship comes to the 2.3-mile layout here at Infineon Raceway as we welcome you to Firestone Race Day, where we'll get you caught up on everything that's been coming and going in the Indy Racing League. Here is the man in the points lead. That's Sam Hornish Jr. by 7 over his teammate, Helio Castroneves. But it is a 4-man race because 24 points back is that man right there, Dan Weldon, and just 33 markers behind our pole sitter for today, Scott Dixon. Last race, Sam Hornish needed to perform well, and he did.
They're going, accelerating. Green. Plus 10 to Dixon, plus 10.
That's the same line Weldon's going to try to.
Plus 3 to Dixon. He's closing.
He's going to want any changes?
No!
No. Oh, yeah, we got completely screwed there because they didn't pick up the leader like they should have.
Anyway, up the plane.
I tried before it happened. Let's just catch up and take our time here. Nice work. All right, you're back with your buddies now. Stay in line there.
Watch me. Watch. Go!
That was a fast service there, wasn't it?
Woo! Awesome job of the pits today, guys. Thanks, Sam. You too. New car. The only thing this baby knows as far as to win.
Well, Sam Hornish Jr. may be the points leader right now, but he finds himself in a bit of a vulnerable position today. We're at a road course, Sam, and it's no surprise, it's no secret that this is not your strength here. What is it going to take for you to keep that points lead going into our final race?
Just be smart today, make sure that we make it to the end, give ourselves that opportunity to be there at the end. We're just going to really approach it like we approached Indianapolis, complete all the laps, and see how everything shakes out. I think that's the best thing that we can possibly do.
You know, we've seen that it's really tough to pass here. You're starting 10th. It's your worst starting position this year. What is your strategy for today?
Just be smart. Don't make mistakes. Try to stay up there, stay ahead of everybody else that we can, and just really be patient. And you know, last year there was a lot of guys that were really fast, took themselves out of the race by you know, getting over anxious too soon in the race or even at the end of the race. So we're just going to try to make smart decisions today.
Yes, be patient. 2 guys that are going to be on his tail happen to dominate on road courses as we saw earlier this year.
St. Petersburg, Florida is about to erupt in sound and fury. Helio Castroneves takes the win. He's looking for a fence. Scott Dixon is on cruise control for the 2nd year in a row. It will be Scott Dixon seeing the checkers.
That's the way to do it, Scott. Good job.
When it comes to permanent road courses, this man, Scott Dixon, has made a mastery of them. In fact, he's never finished worse than 7th in a road race in IRL competition. Scott, chasing for the points championship, doing as well as you have done. You were quick. You won the pole position here this weekend. How does that all come into play in your chase with those other red cars?
We had to. It's plain and simple for our team. We've got to come to this race and try and win. We've got to put as much pressure as possible on the Penske's, try and get them to mess up a little. It's good with Sam starting back. back because he's, I'm 33 points behind him. But Helio is going to be the guy to fight today, I think. So it's been a good weekend so far, but it's pretty easy to go from hero to zero here. So we'll try and keep it on the track.
Jerry Bobby Bowden once said that the halo that you sometimes wear when you mess up, it only takes 4 inches for it to become a hangman's noose.
Thanks, Jack. Well, Helio Castroneves sits second in the points, just 7 behind teammate Sam Hornish, but third on the starting grid today, and as one of the best road course racers here in IndyCar racing, you've got a bit of a quandary, Helio. Now, what do you do? Do you challenge, charge right off the bat to try to take the lead, or you sit back and protect those points?
Well, right now, obviously, we're sitting in a good position, but we can't think about championship yet. It's still a lot of points in the game. What I'm going to try to do, no question about it, is go for it. If I have an opportunity, I'll make it happen. If I don't, just sit it back and let the race come to me.
Who among the top 4 drivers now battling for this championship should feel the most pressure to perform here today?
Well, I guess all of them are feeling the pressure. Everybody want to win this championship as bad as they can, especially the way it is. So every point counts. So I'm not going to deny that I feel some pressure as well. But you know what? I have enough experience, especially this type of course. So hopefully I'll use it. I'll take to Chicago.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
Well, Marty, a year ago, he was taken out on lap 19 and finished dead last. If it happens again today, it could be devastating as close as this points battle is to the championship.
Thanks, Doc, as we take a look at the championship points chase. 33 markers with 2 races remaining. Separate the top 4. And our pole sitter, Scott Dixon, as you already know, is 4th in the points, but he's going to start right on the inside of the front row. We have talked all season long how this race would be so pivotal in the championship chase.
This is a racetrack where they're all concerned about, Marty. This is a road course, not like an oval track. If these guys get off course, they're going to have a big problem, especially if they kill the engine. If they kill the engine, they're going to have to be towed in, and that's going to cost them valuable points.
3 of the 4, only Scott Dixon last year had a good race here at Infineon. The other 3 were dismal.
And Marty, the guy that needs a good race here is Sam Hornish Jr. And you know something, Rusty talks about going off track. Well, Sam was off 3 or 4 times just in practice in the last couple of days. This guy has won 18 races, 2 championships, but never been in the top 5 on a road course race. Matter of fact, his best finish is 7th. I think it's going to be very difficult for him today to get great points to be able to lead this championship leading here.
Throughout the last half of the season, we've talked about how mistakes, miscues, and oops could play a role in the championship. Here's what we mean. Contact. Dan Weldon spun out on the track. Oh, and we've had another crash. It's Helio Castroneves, the 2-time winner. Sam has turned it around.
Weldon has broken a half cap.
The points leader, Helio Castroneves, spun, hit the wall. Oh, here, look out. Sam Hornish is done. Contact from Helio.
This is going to have a point championship change right now.
Now the 9 of Dixon is out of fuel on the racetrack.
We should have pitted.
Dan Weldon stopped a little short, and that could have cost him the race.
All right, let's find out from everybody here who they think had the worst mistake of the season.
Marty, I'd say my pick would be Sam Hornish. The mistake he made leaving pit road after just 1 lap of his tires getting up to speed at Nashville. He spun, hit the wall, cost him a lot of points in the championship hunt right there.
What about you, Scott?
I'm going to have to say Dan Weldon at Kentucky. You know, he's leading the event. He comes in and he actually misses his pit marks, and he ends up costing himself the win and also championship points. I think he's going to look back and say, that's a driver mistake. I could have avoided that.
See, I think it was Helio at Indianapolis. Remember, we had 33 cars starting there, largest field of the year. He finishes like 25th, scores only 10 points in that race. Let's check in again with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, the good news for the Dan Weldon fans, he's still very much a part of this championship hunt, just 24 points back of Sam Hornish. The bad news, however, is his 2 worst finishes of the year have come on road and street courses, 16th at St. Petersburg and 15th at Watkins Glen. And Dan, what do you have to do to get a good finish here today?
Well, you know what that means, that the 2 bad ones are gone. This is 3rd time lucky. So I think both Target Chip Ganassi racing cars are strong, Scott in particular. I think my car's, it's been very consistent over a long run, but we just need to grab a little bit more speed out of it, which, all the engineering staff do a fantastic job, and I'm sure I'll be good by the race, but I really shouldn't be doing interviews with you. Jamie and I are the only ones that interview together, so I hate to upset you, but this is a special moment for the 2 of us.
So your bad luck on road courses continues. Good luck in the race today.
Thank you very much.
He hasn't had the best finishes on road courses, Marty, but he hopes to change that here today.
All right, thanks, Doc. Let's take a look at the average start and average finish on the road course, because take a look down at number 4 in the points, Scott Dixon. He has the best average finish, 3.4. Is that going to be a factor today? Come on back, find out. We'll talk to last year's winner, Tony Kanaan, when we return here to Infineon Raceway.
Back to Infineon, I'm joined now by last year's winner, Tony Kanaan. Now, Tony, we're talking about the championship chase here, and it's all about Penske and Ganassi, but you're actually still a contender, and this is it. Today, you have to put up or shut up pretty much. What separates you from those guys?
I can do more push-ups than them, I guess. So, well, we're going to be very aggressive from the get-go. I think as a team we have 3 cars in the top 6, so I'll win it, that's what we take. And then obviously we're going to have to play with a little bit of a luck of them dropping out of the race or something. Otherwise it's going to be really hard to be still a contender. Being realistic, I think it's going to be very difficult, but you bet I'm going to go for it.
All right, Tony Kanaan, the number 11 car. We'll watch for him. Now let's go over to Dr. Punch, who's with Tony Kanaan's future teammate.
Well, Jamie, last year Tony Kanaan credited his fitness and stamina with his ability to dominate the last laps here. And Danica Patrick, this race will absolutely beat you up. How do you physically meet the challenge?
Well, it is tough to prepare for a race like this. There's nothing quite like driving the car to make you strong, but I feel a lot better this year than last year. From last year to this year, I've kind of fine-tuned all the different little muscles that seem to bother me throughout the race, and that's helped a lot. And you know, leading up to an event like this, you know, I'm just really diligent with the weightlifting part of my workout.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
Well, Marty, don't let her 5'1", 100-pound frame fool you. This is one focused and physically fit IndyCar driver.
Yeah, you'll find that out if you ever shake hands with her. She's got a vice grip. We thank you so much for joining us here on Firestone Race Day. You know, we talk about this being a physical racetrack. Here is what we mean.
No time for rest.
Over 3,000 shifts during the course of this race.
Your hands are sore, your feet are sore.
He's calling for a drink or something, and that's not going to get the job done.
These drivers are being very, very tired.
Fitness is a key, and still energy to burn.
Thanks, Mike. That'll be a great game here at Infineon Raceway. One guy who knows how to get it done, score a touchdown. He did it twice. Rusty in 90 and 96 took the checkered flag here at Infineon Raceway. And now Scott and Rusty are going to take us around this 2.3-mile layout.
Well, from high atop, we go down and look at the state of California and the great racetrack here at Sonoma. Look at all the turns that we have, a lot of elevation changes, and last year's winner, Tony Kanaan, will take us through a lap here as we go across the stripe up to turn 1 at 155 miles an hour, Rusty. A very difficult racetrack.
Well, right now we're getting ready to approach turn 3, Scott. One of the toughest corners in all the IndyCar series. The cars really load up, very hard to steer through here. Now we're coming down through the S's. We're leaving the S's here, coming to the new turn 9. Now the Indy cars run turn 9. The NASCAR cars do not. The reason they do, these cars got to be slowed down because they're so fast. They put that kink in there. Same thing approaching turn 11. We're going into turn 11 right now. The same corner that NASCAR cars don't run. Same reason. We got to slow these cars down. As we exit turn 11, we're coming to the start-finish line, and that's a lap at Infineon Speedway.
All right, thanks, guys. As we look down far above, let's get those 4 words that we have been waiting for from Johnny Rutherford. Not only our Grand Marshal today, but he is also the pace car driver. Johnny, it's all yours.
Johnny Rutherford. Drivers, start your engines and follow me.
The engines have fired. As we look down from high above, let's take a look at today's weather. It is absolutely perfect.
A little cooler than we've seen the last couple of days here. Track temperature 101. We've seen 110 to 115. This is a great racetrack today. The guys should have a great time out there, a lot of grip overall, and a very difficult racetrack.
Well, right now what they need to do is get out there, log some laps, Scott, put some rubber down, get the heat in the tires, because this track is very, very sensitive to cold tires. So that's going to be one key thing at the start of this race.
Take a look at the starting grid as it comes across the top of your screen. There you see Scott Dixon. Marco Andretti, the 19-year-old, will be on the outside of row number 1. And as they pull out, one thing I want to talk about, guys, as we get into this, Scott Dixon has the choice. Last year, Ryan Briscoe, our first time here, he chose to start on the outside of the row, heading in to turn number 1 on the right side. Now, Scott Dixon says he wants the inside. What do you think?
Usually what you end up doing is choosing the inside for the first turn that you arrive at. But the first turn here, Rusty, as we know, is that left hill, uphill climb. and then you get to that very tight right-hander at the top. Last year, Ryan Briscoe wanted to be on the inside for really turn 2. Scott Dixon feels that he wants to be on the inside towards turn 1. We'll have to see if it works for him as it did last year for Ryan Briscoe.
Yeah, I feel as though Scott Dixon knows what his car is going to do, and he feels comfortable with his decision, or else he wouldn't do it now. Look, you want to get to the inside on turn 2 as quickly as you can, so you set up the exit down into the really tough turn 3. So, hey, you know, I've done it both ways, and I'll tell you what, I've crashed in that corner at the start of the race too, because it's so slick out there right now.
All right, let's check you in on our onboards for today's race. Our first one, as we come from the back of the field forward, in the outside of row number 8, you have on board with Ed Carpenter from Vision Racing. Let's move a few rows ahead to row number 6, starting in the 11th position, on board with Danica Patrick as they head down into turn 6, the carousel. A little further up into row number 3, Dario Franchitti. He's going to be starting 5th. Great shot out of the back of the Klein Tools Dallara. And then a little bit further forward into row number 2, Tony Kanaan, last year's winner. You'll be able to see how that suspension loads and unloads even there as we're on the warm-up lap. And then onboard cameras in the front row. The nose cam on Marco Andretti as he will start number 2. And the man right in front of him, Scott Dixon, for Target Chip Ganassi Racing. And let's get the final stories, and we'll check in first with Jerry Punch.
Thanks, Marty. You know, last year Ryan Briscoe proved he could hustle at IndyCar around Infineon Raceway when he sat on the pole out here. But yesterday he proved that it takes more than just a fast car. You got to have some luck to survive here in a lap, because in the final practice session he broke a push rod in the right rear and the car went sailing up across the racetrack. He dodged oncoming traffic and kept it out of the wall. This was the final practice session yesterday afternoon as the car went zipping across the wall. He didn't hit anything. That's the good news. And today he starts 7th in the same car he drove to an impressive 3rd place finish early in the year at Watkins Glen. Jack?
Well, Doc, since Marco Andretti tantalized and teased us at the Indianapolis 500, it's not been a question of if, it's been a question of when will he make his way to victory lane. By taking the green flag today, we will lock up the Bombardier Rookie of the Year award, but he wants to go to victory lane. Based on what we saw at Watkins Glen, the fearlessness and the cerebralness necessary to be victorious in a road course may pay him dividends today and take him to that coveted victory lane. Jamie?
Well, guys, Thomas Schechter, the number 2 car, starting dead last today. He's actually nursing a sore and inflamed left shoulder. Now, there was question last night on whether or not he would even get in the car today. He was struggling with even holding on and controlling this car on this grueling road course. Of course, he went and got checked out. He was cleared this morning to drive, even though Townsend Bell actually got in and turned some laps in his car yesterday afternoon. So we know for a fact Thomas Schechter is starting the race. The question is, Marty, can he finish?
And we're going to talk more about this physical fitness throughout the entire course of the race. Right now, let's check in on the keys to today's race.
Well, the Panos versus Dallara chassis, there's 6 drivers here today that have gone over to the Panos chassis. A lot of people believe that maybe that chassis might be best suited for a road course like we have here at Sonoma, and including Scott Dixon, the pole sitter, will have to see if that's going to give him the advantage that he's looking for. You mentioned driver fitness, Marty. Certainly that's one of the key things here, because we saw last year's winner get out of the car and actually end up doing 10 push-ups, something that Tony Kanaan has always said, fitness is actually a big thing in my life, and I have to make sure that I'm fit to drive the car. And the last one, pavement versus desert racing. You know something, you go off here, there's no grass to go onto, it actually looks like your car is going through the desert like a desert buggy racer, and actually ends up putting a lot of dirt throughout the whole car. If you go off and you end up missing a lap and going down a lap, it's very tough to make it up.
And above all, they've got to keep the engine running if they do spin.
All right, let's take a look at how you score points here in the series. Now, the race winner picks up 50. It drops 10 to second. All the way down to 3rd place, you still score 35. And remember, our top 4 in the championship are only separated by 33 points. And you also get 3 bonus points for leading the most laps. And that is critical for Scott Dixon as he is on the pole. Now, we are on the 2nd of our 2 pace laps as we're coming down through the S's, heading for turn 9. And this will be one of those key passing areas. We've seen a lot of guys going off through this section. We talked about the physical fitness of this thing. We'll talk a little bit probably as we go on about arm pump. These guys get a lot of pump in their arms. It's like having the arms the size of Popeye, but no spinach.
They got to be strong. And one key thing to remember, guys, this is not the NASCAR race, the track, the course they normally run. They're going to be running the carousel, the part of the carousel that all the fans always have loved. This is going to be an exciting race. I love this course they're running.
2.3 mile the circuit. Here we go. This is the only time they'll come all the way down to where you normally run, Rusty, in turn 11, because they want everybody to have a straight run. And we are green here at Infineon, and it did pay off for Scott Dixon. He is first into turn 1.
Scott, good jump on the restart, got out front. He needed to do that. These guys did not need to get up to turn 2. Right there, side by side. It's really tough to get through there. As you see, Dario Franchitti kicked the left rear tire off in the dirt already.
A lot of elevation change. That's a blind corner. Anybody spins there, look out.
Well, one thing you guys got to watch, you see Marco Andretti kick it off right there, too. These tires are real cold right now. They don't have near the grip they're going to have. They're going to get in about 2 laps. About 2 or 3 laps, Scott. I say that's when the temperature's going to be up. They're going to get ultimate grip.
Most important, because this run coming down here, the car gets so loaded, and the G-forces that are actually on the car going all the way through there, you just see thousands of pounds of downforce on these cars. They're reporting up towards 4,000 to 5,000 pounds of pressure on the car, for instance, going up into turn 1. Now, the S section that we're going through right here, very fast, up to about 160 miles an hour, going through these S's flat out. If the car's working perfectly, all the way to turn 9, which they're going to right now, Marty.
This is what we were talking about. This is totally different than what you're familiar with, Rusty, when the NASCAR crew is here. Down into this quick shoot into turn 11, and now you get your first look at how much we shorten this corner compared to what NASCAR does.
The course is very short right there because these cars are so incredibly fast. They got to slow them down, or else they'd just be going too fast. Now remember, this is a course we're running total downforce for aerodynamics. These cars are approaching 5,500 pounds of total downforce. Scott, that's the reason when they get up to the tough turn 3, it's really, really hard to turn these cars because they have so much downforce.
And most importantly, there's no power steering in these cars, Rusty. I know you guys have those in the NASCARs to be able to wrestle those cars that are around at 3,500 pounds. Now we take this run down here, going towards that carousel on board Tony Kanaan's car, and look at the suspension move on that right rear. Down a few gears, down to 4th, and you start to get some hard acceleration here, getting onto the drag strip up to 6th gear, and that run down to turn 7, again up to 155 miles an hour.
And let's reset it for you, because our top 5 is Scott Dixon, Marco Andretti, Elio Castroneves. Dario Franchitti has gotten ahead of Kanaan into 4th. Tony is 5th. Dan Weldon is 6th. And you're saying, wait a minute, where's Sam Hornish? He's still in 10th where he started.
His goal is stay on course. Don't mess up. Don't miss any gears. Don't lock up the rear tires. Look, I'm going for the championship. I know I'm struggling at these road courses, but you know what, guys? I really think halfway through this race, Sam Hornish is going to get some rhythm. He's going to be better than we think he is.
Firestone telemetry, you can see how hard they break all the way down to 1st gear. Watch how fast he comes up through the gears.
Oh, you're talking about gears now. Scott and I talked about this earlier. These guys are going to shift, guys and gal, 38 shifts per lap. Okay, they shift 13 times per lap in a NASCAR race, 13 times. The Indycars, 38 times. They got to keep the revs up in these engines because the power band is so tight. And it's look, they're 3,040 shifts in this race. 3,040 shifts, unreal.
As you watch, Dario Franchitti will give you an update. Remember, Thomas Scheckter started dead last in the field, starting 18th. At the end of lap 2, he was all the way up to 13th. So on the move, the number 2 car.
You know, right now we've got a pretty clean race. Brian Barnhart, the race director, in the drivers' meeting this morning said, guys, the thing I'm most concerned about is you guys getting off course and not having a clean start. We got a clean start right now. These guys got some rhythm going on.
Jerry, you've got more on Thomas Scheckter?
Marty, you mentioned how aggressive he was on lap 1, gaining those 5 spots in the very first lap of the race. And as Jamie told you, the big question mark's the left shoulder. They gave him cortisone shots yesterday. He's not going to injure the shoulder further by driving today, but he may not have the strength or the stamina to run very long. And by the way, because you have to change the seat to change drivers, if he calls it quits, that car calls it quits. They will be out of the race, and he desperately wants to hang in the top 10 in points. The question is, can he be this aggressive more than 20 or 25 laps without that left arm giving out? Right now, he is hustling that race car.
Yeah, and he's getting a lot of pressure from Kosuke Matsuura right through into turn number 1. Kosuke trying to get underneath him.
And this is the most difficult part for Thomas right now, going up through that elevation change. I reported 17 stories from turn 1 all the way up towards from the start and finish line, and that's a very difficult section because of the downforce that is in that car.
Well, and Rusty, you experienced this way back at the beginning of the season, back in March when we were at Homestead. You got in one of these cars and didn't realize how much the effect of not having power steering was.
Marty, I would have never known what these cars drove like unless I went to Homestead, Florida. I actually got right in Sam Hornish's car as he got out. and laid down the second fastest lap that day. I got in the car, went down the back straight over 200 miles an hour, arced off into the infield at Homestead. I thought, oh my gosh, what just happened? I couldn't even turn the wheel, Scott. I just locked up solid. That's when they told me, said, look, these cars are producing 5,500 pounds of downforce. They have no power steering. That's the reason they really load up on this elevation changes. And I found that out the hard way.
And Marty, remember we were there when Rusty came in and got out of the car and looked at his eyes once he got out and just went, wow.
I did say wow.
Yeah, it was. Hey, let's update you. There's Tony Kanaan. He has gotten back around his teammate, Dario Franchitti. So put Kanaan into fourth, Franchitti back to fifth.
Now, a little bit here. Let's follow Tony Kanaan around the racetrack right now because I want to bring him into turn 3, the area that's toughest. Now we're coming down into 3 right now. That is the spot of the racetrack, guys, where the cars load up the very most. Very, very tough to get through that corner. Even though it just looks easy, it's not.
And then the car unloads when you come over the crest of that hill. This is, without a doubt, the most challenging track these guys have faced all year long.
Feel this right here, Scott. Up, down, the car gets real light, comes into the carousel, is making a fast left-hand turn right there. Great place to pass right there. You got to get a lot of speed off that corner, and if you do, you can outbrake these guys going into turn 7 right here.
And that most important run that you talk about going into that carousel, you have to have the car straight under braking. You can't actually start to brake the car as you're starting to turn. The maximum braking has to be in a straight line if you want to keep that car going quick enough down through that carousel.
Well, that's a great point because if you're not, you can lock up a right front or a left front if you don't have the whole platform flat on those front tires and engine.
Let's check in with Jack Rue. You've got more on Tony Kanaan?
Well, fellas, you know, drivers can be superstitious. Well, team crews can be as well. You're taking a look at a giant-sized pine cone that was discovered this morning in the stall, the garage stall of one Tony Kanaan. They have taken that pine cone out onto pit road, and it has become their standard bearer. They said, we think it will bring us good luck. They said, besides that, it looks kind of neat.
Well, Jack, I got to tell you, I don't really think that pine cones are supposed to be in the garage area, so I don't know if I'd be bolting that thing to the top of my tent. Well, what's your story on that one?
Well, you know, you kind of wonder if maybe some raccoons got in there last night or something like that, but as long as it wasn't a beaver dam, I think we're okay.
Okay, I hear you.
All right, everything's pretty much lockstep right now. Dixon, Andretti, Castroneves, Kanaan, Franchitti. That is your top 5. What about Weldon? He is in 6th. Sam Hornish is in 10th. We're going to go side by side. You stay with us because the championship is far from over.
Already won something here. Marco Andretti has just locked up the Bombardier Learjet Rookie of the Year title. That's something that kid's going to be happy to have on top of his mantle and in his resume, that's for sure.
And if I remember correctly, it's about a $50,000 check that'll be at the year-end awards, so that'll spend well for the 19-year-old.
You got that right. Jerry, what are you hearing down there for pit right now? We're hearing 26 to 28 laps. Is that still what you're hearing?
Yeah, Rusty, that's the window that they're talking about here. The window may open around lap 25 for some of those that are being real aggressive with the fuel, like the guys you're watching, Sam Hornish and company. Others up front that aren't having to use so much fuel may go 27 or 28. But here's the critical thing about road course racing and Indy cars is that if you can be one of the drivers, one of the teams, to reach your window early and short pit, maybe you come in a lap early than others and then hope for a yellow flag, and then when they pit, you're out front. Now, the critical pit stop, though, will be the second one of the day. If they can, whoever gets to lap 50 first or gets their window open, if they can pit on 50 or 51, come in early, you may have a shot to steal the win. It could be all about pit strategy here today because you can actually dial back the fuel consumption quite a bit here and not have to, but still be able to hold off the car behind you.
And I spoke to a lot of drivers this morning, Doc, after the drivers meeting that said they're going to try and do just that because it's so difficult to pass at this racetrack. You end up using up a lot of fuel by jabbing the throttle, trying to get around people and trying to get other turns real quick. As we watch Scott Dixon right now, he won't be using too much fuel because he can do everything at his own pace very smoothly like a lot of these few cars can right now. And further back in the pack, when those guys start to run around each other, sometimes you end up using more fuel even though you're further back and not going as quick.
And we're waiting for Sam Hornish, our points leader, to come into view, and there he is. So you saw all the cars that are in front of him right now, and Sam still in 10th. That's exactly where he started. And realistically, guys, his best move, we've talked about it, keep those 4 Firestones on the pavement all day.
We saw in the opening how many times he has been off this racetrack, you know, and he's such a focused driver. He's physically fit, and I think he's got the right goal in mind. Stay in the race course, see where I am at the end of this race. And he's currently running about 3 miles miles an hour slower, Rusty, than the leader on his pace right now, you're not just going to pick that up by trying to drive just a little bit harder in a couple of turns around a 2.3-mile circuit.
No, he's got to get his comfort level up right now. You know, as I'm looking here, the track is starting to blacken up a little bit. The more Firestone rubber's getting laid down on the racetrack, but still, Sam's got a concern. He knows he can't get this thing off course. You know what? The family is so concerned about that. I talked to his wife, Crystal, yesterday morning. She said, you know what? When Sam spins the car out, he keeps killing the engine. We got to figure out if he spins, how not to kill this engine. So these two have had a conversation, believe it or not, and said, look, Sam, think about it. Think about me. If you spin this thing, get the clutch in, don't spin it. That's how involved this gal is with this championship.
Well, here's the other thing to remember. Sam Hornish has never finished better than 7th on a road course. And you heard at the pre-race, Scott Dixon's never finished worse than 7th. That sort of puts it in perspective.
And the 2 championships that Sam Hornish won, there was no road courses during those years on the championship trail, all oval racing, and that's where he really is a master, is the background in road course racing, but really has perfected, much like Rick Mears, oval racing.
And take a look at our points right as of now. If the race was over, it would be 24 markers separating the top 4. Castroneves would retake the points lead by 8 over Sam. Dixon would move up to 3rd, bumping Weldon to 4th. All right, let's check back in up front with Scott Dixon. He has about a 3-second margin over Marco Andretti. It's another second back to Castroneves, and we have a problem. That is down in the turn 11 area, I believe. That is Jeff Bucknam in the A.J. Foyt Enterprises number 14.
What the heck was that? When you tried to dive down the inside of me? Like from here.
That is the last turn here on the race course. We have a full course yellow now. So our first full yellow, we had 4 last year at the inaugural running of this event. And for Jeff Bucknam, it looks like he's going to at least need a restart. Let's see what happened, guys.
Very tight turn 11. You get down to about 35 miles an hour. The 17 car of Jeff Simmons in the ethanol machine tries to make a move on the inside. Maybe just a little bit difficult to try and get 2 cars there. We'll have to see if there's any damage on the ethanol machine.
Scott,
right now, it looks not too bad.
Scott, I didn't see any wrong moves by what Jeff Simmons just did. He was clearly inside of Bucknam right there. Now, I don't know if the spotter could see that area and tell him that he was making that pass right there. But, you know, Simmons looked like he was awful deep. And then again, Bucknam was just making his normal turn in. So, hey, classic case of racing right here. But I think the spotters could have helped out there a little bit better.
And the spotters are up in turn 3, a lot of them. So sometimes the building that we're sitting in right now that has a television broadcast booth and also this grandstand section hides that turn 11. So it's very difficult sometimes for the spotter to help out.
All right, let's talk a little strategy here, guys. I mean, lap 12, it's too early perhaps for the guys that are running up front. But if you're 10th, 11th, 12th on back, do you think about going off cycle here?
Well, they say follow the leader, and if I'm up in the front right now, I think I'm going to take advantage of the slower pace, 60 miles an hour around here, get some service work done with no pressure really on the crew or the driver to get into the pits real quickly and make that change of tire pressures, maybe make the car handle a little bit better. But this is where the gamble pays off. This is where the team managers and the engineers get paid a lot of money to make these decisions.
I tell you what, I flunked this part many times, Scott. It's a tough call. One thing I do know, though, if you're in the back right now, there's nothing wrong with keeping that car full of fuel. Keep fresh tires on it. Keep gas in it. You know, do everything that you possibly can because you're not up front. I mean, I'd say the guys, maybe Sam Hornish all the way back, they could afford to pit. Gas these things up, put some good Firestone tires on them, and go again.
Well, you drove for Roger Penske. You know he's very famous for splitting the strategies right now. He's got 1 car up running in 3rd with Castroneves and Hornish back here in 10th right now. Maybe he goes ahead and maybe splits the strategy. We'll have to wait and see.
He might do that. Now, I do know that, you know, he feels comfortable with Castroneves. He runs so good at these racetracks. He's probably a little bit concerned about Hornish. His focus is probably right there.
Well, guys, the leader is going to set the tone for this. As you can see, Jeff Bucknam's got some damage, and he's going to work it back. Jackaroo, what's Ganassi Racing going to do with Dixon?
And they are going to pit their leader. Scott Dixon is going to come in, and this is where we'll see the split, as Jerry had alluded to with Rusty. Some teams are going to pit. Other teams like Vitor Meira are going to hold pat, maintaining that it's more important to do this race in 2 stops rather than making major changes.
Well, and Meira falls into that group. He's back in 8th that we talked about. So now if the leader comes in from Meira on back, maybe do they stay out? They gain a little track position here and hope that maybe either another yellow or the cycle comes through for them.
And Marty, the key phrase is track position. It's so difficult to pass at this racetrack that if you hang out and actually wait for track position, that's important. Now we see that Weldon has come in when there's a lot of people actually put their equipment out and chose not to.
Wide open. We're going to do fuel only, just fuel, and a half a turn of front wing.
So Dixon did not come in.
Coming
Here comes Weldon. Let's go to Jackaroo.
Focus on Dave here.
Well, this was a major change being vectored in as Dan Weldon. He comes down onto pit road, and look for them to make a chassis change. They move as he finishes his pit stop. Let's go to Jamie.
Sam Hornish Jr. comes in. You know how Ron Kensky likes to mix up fuel strategy. They get fuel and 4 tires, and he's away.
Schechter, Sharp, Simmons, and Ed Carpenter also pitted under that strategy. Again, most of those cars further back, so when the leader stayed out, that opened the window for these guys, and now they have a fresh load of fuel. This is going to be the kind of interesting strategy we're going to see played out throughout this race. We're under our first caution, working lap 13 of 80 here at Infineon Raceway. We're going to go side by side. Stay with us. You won't miss a thing. And we'll find out how this strategy plays out as the race rolls on. Still under yellow here at Infineon Raceway. Let's get you caught up if you're just tuning in. Scott Dixon has dominated from the drop of the green flag. He's led every single lap so far. Young Marco Andretti, though, in hot pursuit, no farther than 3 seconds behind. The 19-year-old doing very well. Thomas Schechter moved from dead last, 18th in the field, up to 13th. That was right before the yellow. He has pitted since. Sam Hornish, who's also pitted here in this first yellow, has been running steady. He maintained his 10th position. And, of course, the reason for the yellow, contact between Jeff Simmons that did a lot of damage to the suspension of the number 14 of Jeff Bucknell. While we're still under yellow, let's remind you that Sunday, September 10th, 1:30 Eastern on ABC, the IndyCar Series wraps up. We crown the 06 champion at the Chicagoland Speedway for the Chicago Indy 300, Sunday, September 10th, 1:30 Eastern on ABC. And we are getting ready to go back to green flag racing at this time by Rusty.
You know, going back to the Bucknell incident in turn 11, Scott, I'll tell you, I mean, you undertake a driver going into turn 11, you undertake a driver going into turn 7, and there's a couple other spots. I believe I'd be putting my spotters where they can see a clear view right in those areas. I mean, I don't think I'd stick a guy up top where he can just kind of get an overall view. I'd want to see those spots really, really good. I think if they had a spot of that incident, it wouldn't happen down there.
Let's get more from Dr. Jerry Punch.
Guys, Jeff Bucknam's crew, the ABC Supply Company crew for AJ Ford, working on this car. The damage is they have bent or broken the adjuster on the right rear push rod, and they are trying to replace that down here. They're working very, very hard. Craig Baranowski and company have it almost repaired. Unfortunately, he's going to lose a handful of laps or so here on pit road as they get set to go back to green. Guys?
And it will be as soon as they make this final turn on the throttle. Here we go.
Boy, Dixon got a nice jump. He was on the gas right on the apex of 11. Power down. Remember, no traction control on these cars this year, so it's all up to the driver to squeeze the accelerator to get maximum power down to those wheels without spinning them. Dixon did a great job.
I love the elevation changes of Infineon Raceway. That's turns 3A down into 4, 5, and then into the carousel.
I think we're probably looking around 10 more laps before the leaders come down pit road so they can get in their fuel window and make this thing.
That's Tony Kanaan right now in the 4th position. It is Dixon, Andretti, Castroneves in 3rd, Kanaan in 4th, Dario Franchitti in 5th. What about the other championship contenders? Dan Weldon is 10th right now. Sam Hornish is back to 13th. Remember, Weldon and Hornish both pitted. Take a look right now. That's Ryan Briscoe, the second car in that frame, the number 5 machine. Remember, he sat on pole here last year, had that big crash in lap 19, took out Danica and Elio Castroneves. Uh-oh, look out, this could get dicey. Matsura forces the issue.
And I'll tell you, that's a really tight turn 9. There was a lot of speed getting on the turn 9, the new turn 9 that the NASCAR cars are not accustomed to running. And you can see they really compacted herself up there. Now we're going to turn 11. Ooh, Schechter, that's a tough one right there with Buddy Rice. Got to be careful right there, guys.
Boy, the big loser in that was Ryan Briscoe. He lost 4 spots.
Vitor Meira certainly took advantage of that. Great job, though, by Matsuda, because I'll tell you, Koski's not really one for going in there sometimes on a road course, but he did a wonderful job actually doing the setup and making the move.
Next car back is 5 back. Checkers 5 back. That's Briscoe in front of you.
And that's Danica's radio right now. She is running in the 11th spot.
But Danica talked earlier about how much she's been working out. You know, she's a small little gal, but I'll tell you what, she has been really pumping some iron. They've told me that she can almost outlift some of these guys. She's so strong right now, Scott.
One of the things I want to talk a little strategy here, guys. Danica and Buddy Rice both beat Sam Hornish out of the pits. Possible short fill on the fuel?
Very possible, because when you actually do that, you have the chance to get the car off the jack stands very quickly. Maybe they didn't even change tires. We didn't get a full recap on that. But interestingly, just to get up yourself in the track position that we talk about, which is so important because it's so difficult to pass at this racetrack. Look at the snaking section through here. A great run all the way from turn 7 through the S's, as we call them, up over the brow, and this run to the turn 9, which is really a right-left chicane switchback. Very slow section here, somewhere around 50 miles an hour, down to second gear. Remember, hard on the gas, no traction control, as I mentioned before. You really have to be ginger on that throttle, not to spin the tires, because you end up taking the tires off the back of the car.
Scott, you know, a minute here. I tell you what, that was a big impact going into turn 9 with Ryan Briscoe and Koski Matsuura. You know, I'm not so sure. They hit pretty doggone hard going in there. Let's take a look at this. Here it is in a 9 right now. Look at Briscoe turn in. Oh, they got banged. Look, Briscoe up on a. I tell you what, that's tough on the suspension. If I was Briscoe, I'd be taking a look at that.
Well,
right
the guy that got the short in that, like you said, is Briscoe, because he ended up going through the dirt, got all that dirt on the tires, just didn't have the grip to be able to turn around and get some acceleration coming out of there, and that allowed the other cars to go by.
Well, let's get more on Ryan Briscoe, Doc.
And guys, right before that incident, Ryan Briscoe cued his radio right before the green flag and said, guys, I am having a steering problem. The steering is really starting to tighten up here. It is hard to turn. You saw him going into 9. He tried to turn inside of Kosuke, and the car wouldn't turn. You can imagine it's tough enough on this course to steer it anyway, but now it's stiffening up. They're hoping to get a yellow, get in, and take a look and see what the problem is, but he's having a tough time turning the wheel.
Another guy who's having a tough time is Sam Hornish. Buddy Rice is all over him through 7.
This is where Sam's got to be careful. Don't fight the thing and don't try to overdrive the car and keep Rice behind him. Look, if Rice has caught him, he's right on his bumper, let the guy by, fall in, he needs these points. This is a spot in the race, guys, where pressure on a driver can really play a bad factor and cause bad things to happen.
Jamie, what are they talking about down there?
Well, guys, we've been talking about Sam Hornish and all the spinouts he had in practice. He's really been struggling here, but the big problem has been his car setup. They just cannot find the right balance. He said he's lacking grip on the back, and now this is him on the radio just a few moments ago talking about his car and race condition.
I don't know what the problem was that first run. Car just is not very good at all. Couldn't do anything, just pushing real bad.
Okay, you're doing fine here. Those guys didn't take tires and got out ahead of us there. We're okay, though.
And while all this was transpiring, we get word that Thomas Schechter has pulled into the pits, and he has got some damage. Jerry, what's going on?
Well, the right front tire has gone down on Thomas Schechter's car, so they're going to take that Firestone Firehawk off and replace it. Apparently off the course just a little bit, and it doesn't take much here with the debris that goes on the race course. They're checking the position, and it is down and away. So Thomas Schechter, who has battled a shoulder injury, now has to battle a problem with the right front tire.
Yes, and it is potentially going to cost him, could put him a full lap down, as we're working lap 18 of 80. And there again, we show you Sam Hornish. Hornish in 12th right now, but he still has Buddy Rice close behind and Simmons right behind Rice.
And to go on something that Rusty was just mentioning a moment ago, the points championship is so important. Obviously, you got Sam Hornish leading the points championship, and right now he's running back in 12th. Now Rice, who's running 15th in the points championship, really nothing to lose. If he goes in there and be's a little bit over aggressive, ends up bumping wheels with Sam Hornish, you know, there's no real loss for Buddy Rice right now because he's not in the championship hunt.
No, he's going for it. He's tired of running bad. He's had a lot of bad runs this year. You know, I guess it's good to note right now that Buddy Rice is back in the Panos chassis. All the Rahal Letterman guys are back in the chassis on the Panos. Who we got here? We got both Ganassi cars and Panos. We got the 3 Rahal Letterman cars and Scott Sharp. So this is something that happens on the road courses. You know, the preferred chassis is the Delara on the speedways.
Now there is obviously a teammate situation on the Fernandez team with Kosuke Matsuura and Scott Sharp. Kosuke is still running the Delara chassis. Scott Sharp has moved into the Panos chassis, so there's a bit of a different theory going on there between those two teammates.
Well, let's get more on what's happening in Rahal Letterman's camp. Doc?
You guys mentioned that Buddy Rice has nothing to lose, guys, and that is indeed the case. Remember, a couple of races ago, he was given his release by Bobby Rahal to go ahead and see what's out there as far as possible rides for next year. Now, there's been nothing definitive out of the Rahal Letterman camp. Buddy Rice is their Indy 500 winner, having won the race in 2004. But if Buddy Rice wants to be able to get another ride or have other options, he needs to be impressive these last couple of events of the year here in Chicagoland. Remember, last year, this race was the first time he had ever driven on a road course in an IndyCar, and he drove it from the back of the pack all the way up to finish second. He's trying to impress more people here today.
Meanwhile, let's check back in from high above as you get a look down on Scott Dixon. A 2-second margin over Marco Andretti. Jack, you've got more on our race leader?
Yeah, Marty, you guys were speculating that around lap 25 to lap 26, the leader should be expected in. I just spoke with Mike Hull, and he reminded me about how you can make so much fuel mileage during the caution. The plus for the man in the left side of your screen, he told me, he says, I think we can push it now to lap 30. Not quite sure why you'd want to do that, but they really want to make this in a two-stop race, and if you can go that far, fellas, it means the last stop, you don't have to take a full load of fuel.
Well, Jack, you know, he's got such a big lead right now. He can probably dial this thing back a little bit on the fuel burn, Scott. I mean, he could take that and actually, instead of that car burning the fuel it's burning, go back to maybe position, 4 or something like that and burn less fuel and make it to lap 30 because he's so doggone fast out there. Look at this. He just ran a 1:19.20 compared to second place, 1:19.56. Now, folks, I'm talking lap times. I'm not talking miles per hour that you're probably accustomed to hearing, but that is pretty fast.
It's about a half a mile an hour difference, and when you lean it back, what you're mentioning, Rusty, is you're putting less fuel into the engine. It runs leaner, as we call it, produces less horsepower, but you can make that up by being super smooth, a little bit less on the brakes, make the car carry some more speed through the turn. Some things that drivers can do, and some are better than others at being able to save fuel. Dixon's one of the best.
Speaking of Scott Dixon, 2004, 2005, he only led 2 races combined those 2 years.
2.5 seconds clear.
This is his 8th race this year where he has led, and of course, he had the big win back at Watkins Glen. And right now, you heard him say he's 2.5 seconds ahead of Marco Andretti as he moves down through turn 9, almost ready to complete lap 21 of 80. We're going to go side by side. What's happened to the man who won here last year, Tony Kanaan? Well, he is running 4th, right behind Helio Castroneves. Back here at Infineon Raceway, take a look at our TISO lap leaders. It's a short list, fellas.
Scott Dixon's just been putting a whooping on him, that's for sure. I mean, this guy's got so much rhythm right now. All his shifts are perfect. His turn-ins on entry are perfect. His braking's been good. Look at this guy. He's a professional road race, doing a heck of a job out there, guys.
Well, let's talk a little bit about strategy with Scott Dixon and Team Target Ganassi.
For us, we have to go all out. Both cars, the 9 and the 10 and the Target cars, have to push. That's the only way we're going to make gains. And I think we have a little less pressure. We can just go for it and push as hard as we can. If we mess up, at least we try. With the Penske's, they got to look behind themselves a little bit, and hopefully they keep looking in the mirrors and maybe drive straight ahead of someone.
Pushing as hard as you can has been the benchmark of Team Target Chip Ganassi in all of their efforts. And yesterday, in the Rolex Grand American Series, they celebrated not only their 6th win of the season, but they also celebrated for the team, including Nextel Cup, IndyCar, Busch, and IRL, their 75th victory when Diaz and Pruitt pulled into victory lane after dropping as far back, fellas, as 22nd. It was a great endurance race.
It really was. We were here and were able to watch it, and you see Chip Ganassi right there as he's looking to potentially double up.
Another guy that was actually in that race yesterday, Scott Sharp, driving with his father-in-law, Greg Pickett. And it makes me wonder with Sharp right now, because he's so far back in the field, having difficulty with his car all weekend. Rusty, as you know, you have to be so precise with these cars. I just wonder if actually driving a Grand Am car on Saturday and an IndyCar type thing in that race is just something, it's just very difficult to do to sort of get the rhythm in there. Now, his father-in-law's been racing for years, and Trans Am has won 18 races and won races in 4 decades, but, you just can't switch back and forth between 2 race cars like that.
Well, that's a great point, Scott. It really is. But I will tell you, when I drove the 24 Hours of Daytona this year, I was really surprised how similar they were to the Indy cars that I drove at Hornishes down in Homestead. They have no lift upshifting. I mean, you hold the throttle wide open. You keep pulling the shifter back to put it in gear. They brake really, really good. But, you know, going back to road racing, let's talk about Scott Dixon one more time. Let me tell you how good this guy is. Chip Ganassi fielded a second car for the 24 Hours of Daytona. He put Dan Weldon and Scott Dixon. Dixon dominated that 24 Hours of Daytona and won that race in a Grand Am car. So he's won in the Grand Am cars. He's dominating today in the Indy-style cars. You know, you just got to say this guy is a natural-born road racer.
And I love what you said, because you ran the 24 Hours this year, and you said to me, I can't imagine, and I never thought of how many good road racers there is out there when you got into those cars. And you said they're from all over the country. They're just everywhere. These guys are so fast.
Very good drivers. I mean, you got drivers I've never heard of. We've probably never heard of in NASCAR land. Lucas Lohr, you know, Amadinger. We got name some others. Patrick Long, guys like that. These guys are incredible. They could jump right in these Indy cars on a road course and probably win right away. But I did find out how the talent down in Daytona is very diverse.
And there's his teammate Dan Weldon. We should update you there because Dan is now in the 8th position. And right behind him is Ryan Briscoe. Jack, you've got more?
Well, fellas, Dan Weldon is driving with a different driving suit today. He went to put on his normal driving suit, and after multiple washes, it had shrunk. So when he decided what he should wear, he went to the closet and he grabbed one of Scott Dixon's. As he began to put it on, he kidded Dixon and said, "You're so good on the road courses, maybe this will rub off on me."
Well, now wait a minute. Do we want to talk about fire suits, Jack? Isn't there a little story maybe involving you with your fire suit?
Well, I knew you had to go there, didn't you? My fire suit is being brought to you today courtesy of Whiteout, as my fire suit encountered some sort of a fungus problem while it was being transported.
So, tell you the truth, it's mildew, folks, but it's okay. We got him cleaned up. He's all right. There's Sam Hornish. Let's take a look at the points right now because it's not good news for Sam. He would drop 2 spots if the race ended right now. He would be in 3rd. 9 behind. Dixon would be in 2nd, just 8 behind our new points leader, Elio Castroneves. But it's not over yet.
And Rusty, you know, when you get to this point in the championship year with only a couple of races left, and after this race here, you'll go back home, get a weekend off, and before you get to Chicago, you'll sit back and think about all those little places where you've lost a few points, mistakes that you've made, and ways that you might have thrown away this championship.
They all think about what they messed up on, you know, in the championship hunt. Who did this wrong? Who did that wrong? It's all drivers do that.
Take a look. There is Sam right behind Danica Patrick. Danica is 10th. Hornish is 11th. Now Briscoe has peeled off. He is in the pit lane right now, we can tell you. So that will move everybody else up a spot. There he is getting his service. So move Hornish up to 10th, Danica to 9th.
Okay, guys, this is where it's going to start heating up right now. We're at lap 27. These leaders got to hit pit road pretty soon. I believe Jack, Jamie, and Jerry are going to get pretty busy here in a minute.
Briscoe down, back out on course. Nothing has changed up front. The battle is a 3.8-second gap as Scott Dixon is trying to basically lay claim to this 2.3-mile circuit all to his own.
Let's talk some more lap speeds one more time. I know I like to talk to stopwatch times, guys. Dixon just ran a 1:19.18 compared to 2nd place 19:41. Then after that, you get around about 6th place, and they all get in the 120s and a 122nd bracket. That's how dominant Dixon's been right now.
2nd in the championship points coming into this race. Elio Castroneves is pulling into the pits, and there you see him on the left side of your screen. Jamie's coming your way.
Well, Marty, Elio Castroneves, as he makes his way down pit road, he's putting his all into this race. He has 2 more possibilities to take home this championship. He may have won 2 Indianapolis 500s, but he has never won a championship. He is so dead set on taking it home. He's turning down media obligations, guys, and that's never like Elio Castroneves as you see him exit his pit box. 4 tires and full fuel. Jack.
Well, Vitor Mira, as scheduled, is pulled on the pit road. They made a minor chassis adjustment. This is exactly what John Barnes prepared for. And guess what, fellas? Next up on the pit road docket will be your leader, Scott Dixon.
So things starting to get a little interesting in pit lane. As Dixon continues to roll here, we're working lap 28 of 80. And here comes your leader. Dixon peels off.
Stop right on the mark, right on the board. We're going to stop with Rick today. Fuel position 1.
Fuel position 1. Let's go to Jack.
Sometimes this can be the scariest moment for a driver because he hands over his own destiny to the fellas that are over the wall that have been his support. That's the case for Scott Dixon. As he comes to rest, and Ricky Lewis and the crew go to work. A nominal stop, as we like to call it, waiting for the 30 gallons of fuel. Jamie?
Yeah, 19-year-old Marco Andretti, who's now the newly crowned Rookie of the Year, is in and out. No problems. He comes in, brakes smoking. They're using their brakes so much out there, so much more than on an oval. And he has a clean stop for Marco Andretti, who started second today, his best of the year.
Yes, it was Dixon, Kanaan, Franchitti, Andretti all pitting. So now we're going to cycle through, and guess who's going to have the race lead? It will be Dan Weldon. So everyone has now made their first pit stop through this race. And it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out because Weldon will be shown as your race leader.
Well, we talked earlier about it. It's any time between lap 26 and 28, and sometimes we're wrong at that, Marty. But we hit it pretty close this time.
Not too far off.
Not too far off on that one.
All right, as this continues, right now it's Weldon in front, and boy, you can see the action is tightening up. We're going to go side by side, and we'll be able to show you whether or not Scott Dixon can win this race, or will it be Dan Weldon? Well, you think we're going fast here at Infineon Raceway? Join us next weekend for the Big Go. It's the biggest race of the year in the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series. The Mac Tools U.S. Nationals, 330 miles an hour in the quarter mile. There are the times that we have for you qualifying on Saturday and Sunday. And of course, the Skull Showdown is part of Sunday's action. That's the funny car shootout. Top 8 in points, and that one go after it. And then final eliminations Monday, September 4th on ESPN2 and ESPN2 HD.
Well, there'll be some guy down there by the name of Marty Reed doing that show.
And we'll be having a heck of a good time. You're all going to have to come and join me on that.
Man, 330 miles per hour. I love going to those races. That's the greatest, some of the greatest races around. Don Perdome, my buddy, I get to see him. Get to see you, Marty, over there.
All right, let's get you up to speed in case you're just tuning in. Time for the Triple J Ranch to do their thing. And the race leaders, Jack Arute, you're up.
Well, for Dan Weldon, this has been a dream ride after starting mid-pack. Weldon has used sensible pit stops and good racing initiative to find his way matriculated to the front of this field. They have made no changes, major or minor, on this car, and except for the little snafu with the driving suit, this has been Dan Weldon's afternoon so far. The man that started on the pole was and is his teammate. Now for car number 9, Scott Dixon, the maestro of closed course road courses. This has been a run that he expected. Did not, however, get the kind of fuel mileage he had hoped for, and pitted approximately 2 laps earlier than Mike Hull, his statistician, had hoped for. Jerry?
And Jack, Danica Patrick currently sits third here on the grid, and after impressive runs earlier in the year where she finished 6th at St. Pete and 8th after making up a lap at Watkins Glen, she feels like her road course ability is really coming to bear. In fact, earlier in the week, we asked her to give us her impressions about her confidence coming back to Infineon for the 2nd year in a row.
Or to coming back, but I feel better this year. It's easier for me, whether that's because I'm more relaxed or more conditioned. I don't know. It's probably both of them. But, you know, I only did 20 laps in the race, so we'll see how I feel after 80.
And indeed, Danica Patrick is very confident about what's happening. She pitted for fuel only on lap 12, will be making her 2nd pit stop in about 7 laps, but right now trying to hang on to the top 5. Jamie?
Well, Doc, just moments ago, Marco Andretti was screaming on the radio, and everybody was looking at each other like, what's his problem? He's trying to get around Danica Patrick. The problem was, and his father, Michael Andretti, just told me, Marco didn't realize Danica was on the same lap. So he was trying to move her over to the side, but they are indeed on the same lap and racing. He wants to take home a win, and he only has 2 more chances in his rookie season. And right behind him, Sam Hornish Jr., who started 10th, has moved his way up to 5th. Roger Penske again getting different fuel strategy here than his teammate Elio Castroneves. Sam Hornish, his goal was just to finish this race, be solid and finish and stay in the points hunt. Because remember, that championship could be lost or won by Sam Hornish today.
Guys, Buddy Rice is really playing a very patient waiting game. He made his first pit stop on lap 12 for fuel only, although the tires may be going away because he jammed the brake zone up in turn 7 to avoid a slower car. He has done a very nice job of coaxing a lot of wear out of these Firestone tires. He'll be making a pit stop in about 7 laps or so. He's hoping to rekindle that top 5 finish he had here a year ago. Now, right behind him is his teammate Jeff Simmons in 7th spot. Simmons finished 3rd here a year ago driving in the Indy Pro Series. Simmons is a 2-time Barber Dodge Pro Series champion. He is very, very good on the road courses. He pitted on lap 12, but he put 4 tires on. So Simmons really sitting pretty well in far as tire wear, but he'll need a fuel stop in about 7 to 9 laps. Jack?
Well, Doc, what about the defending Sonoma champion? For TK, Tony Kanaan and the 7-Eleven team, this has been a monumental day. They have been struggling as he continues to work over Jeff Simmons for a position. But one thing Tony Kanaan has brought to the cockpit this year is special driving shoes. At each and every race, each pair of shoes are embroidered with the name of the race. I talked to his team manager as to why, and he said they make good collectibles. Jamie?
Well, Jack, behind him, a fellow Brazilian, Elio Castroneves, going for this championship. He's been almost flawless this year, 10 top 10 finishes, 7 top 5. But it was here last year he finished 21st. He was taken out in that crash with Danica and Ryan Briscoe. So far, everything is good, and something unique about this track is we don't hear a lot of chatter on the radios. The spotters aren't saying much, and the drivers aren't saying much. They absolutely have their hands full, and the tension is high.
Jamie, when you don't say much when the radio is keyed, then you listen. That was the case for the next man in line, Dario Franchitti, running in the front pack until that first caution for Bucknam. He was told to come in if the leader pitted. The leader pitted, Franchitti stayed out. He was resoundingly scolded for that, and ever since then, Jamie, he's been mired in the back of the pack.
His teammate Brian Herta, road course specialist behind him, lackluster season. He wanted to make a breakthrough and get that win here. His best start and best finish have been on a road course this year at St. Petersburg. Now, I asked Brian what his plans are for next year. His contract is up, and he had a smile on his face and said, "We have something in the works, and I will be racing." Whether or not he'll be back here in the IndyCar Series has yet to be seen.
All right, thanks, guys. Let's update you also. Ed Carpenter running 11th. Vitor Mira 12th right now. Ryan Briscoe in 13th. And then Scott Sharp, he has not been any factor at all today. He's been struggling all weekend. He's all the way back in 16th. Those are 16 cars are on the lead lap. Scheckter and Bucknam. Bucknam's out of the race, and Schechter's 8 laps down right now and in pit lane. We're going to go side by side. Right now it is all Chip Ganassi Racing up front. Dan Weldon in front of Scott Dixon by 3.1 seconds. Back here at Infineon Raceway as we are getting word from pit lane that Dan Weldon, our race leader, 27 laps ago he made his first stop. Here he comes in for his second. He will surrender the race lead to his teammate Scott Dixon, who only pitted 10 laps ago. Let's send it to Jack Arute.
Well, Marty, so far, as we said before, this Target Chip Ganassi entry for Dan Weldon has had a good run. Now they're going to go with some scuffed Firestone tires. Very well. Vectors him in, he hits his marks. Don't expect any changes other than that decision to go with a scuffed set of Firestone Firehawks. He is off and away.
All right.
Very nice stop on the green flag condition.
Well, and you heard him say, guys, we're going on tires, so it wasn't waiting for the fuel, so he did not take a full load.
Well, no full load, but if he did, he would actually probably get about another 28 laps, and coming in lap 39 still puts him to one more stop, because that would have put him to 67. So a smart move from their factor, because they get just enough fuel in the car to get the tires on, send him back up, because he had to have one more stop anyway. So don't wait for the fuel, just get back and get track position on the racetrack.
Well, another thing here, Jack, how long does it take to put fuel in these cars?
Well, that's the problem. You can change the Firestone Firehawks in more time than it takes to fill the fuel because it's gravity fed. one thing we should let you know, too, you know that set of tires that Dan Weldon just took off? He started the race on them. So they've got, what, 39 laps out of that set of tires, and I'm looking at them, guys, and they look pretty good.
Well, right now we're looking at Scott Dixon, and he's looking pretty good. He's all over the number 8 of Scott Sharp, and he puts Sharp a lap down. Now remember, this is a 2.3-mile road course, so Sharp right now not feeling real good about his race.
And Sharp is out on some new canoes, as we call them, some new tires, because he just pitted about 5 laps ago. He has a full tank of fuel, and Danica is now in for her stop.
Doc?
And Danica has gone 28 laps. Her stop was on lap 12. 4 tires, no adjustments. Got to get it full of fuel. They're going to wait on the fuel. And here's away. Jamie Little.
Sam Hornish is in as well. You heard them on Danica's radio saying you're going to race Hornish out. Hornish expected to make a front wing adjustment, 4 tires and fuel. And guys, he beats Danica out.
So we get through the second round of pit stops here, and things again begin to unfold as the strategy changes. It's now Scott Dixon up front, Marco Andretti in second. But remember, Andretti came out of several cars behind Dixon. What that has transpired into is he's now 10.8 seconds behind instead of being about 3 seconds after the first round of pit stops.
And, you know, everybody still has one more stop. Even the people that are just coming in late in this race, as we're looking at right now in the last couple of laps, as I just mentioned, still are going to have another stop for fuel. They may not take on tires, but they're still somewhere between 12 to 16 laps shy of making it to the end. Now, some gambling going on, maybe hoping for a yellow to get the cars all packed up to maybe gain some track position that you've lost if you're not fast enough. So we're right along with Scott Dixon right now. Just watch his hands, how smooth he is. Grabbing gears all the way down.
Jeff Simmons peeled off. He was running in third. Doc, you're there.
Jim Prescott and company changing the tires. Jeff's, great pit stop on the ethanol crew for Jeff Simmons. Guys, less than 9 seconds. A great effort by Al Bodie and company. What a good job down here to get him on and off pit road in less than 9.
And meanwhile, Scott Dixon just continues to motor around this racetrack. He is now 10 seconds ahead of Marco.
Take advantage of it.
Now that is lap traffic. That's Ed Carpenter, Scott Sharp, and here comes Marco into view.
Marco has been smooth all day long. He's been flying. Let's go back to Jeff Simmons just a little bit. I've been real impressed with Simmons throughout the day, driving that ethanol car. In fact, the fuel that I think is going to be in race cars worldwide pretty soon. Well, I have no idea why they don't run ethanol in every race car in America. It's just the coolest thing in the world. That fuel is amazing, that ethanol is.
10% of the fuel right now is ethanol in the IndyCar Series. Next year it will be 100% as the IRL leads the way in that area. Leading the way right now, it's not Jeff Simmons. Simmons comes back into the race at 10th after his pit stop. It's Scott Dixon. Dixon by 10 seconds over Marco Andretti. Andretti's teammate Tony Kanaan is now third. Elio Castroneves is fourth. Dario Franchitti is fifth. You're saying, where are the other championship contenders? Dan Weldon is seventh, and Sam Hornish is 11th.
Hey, impressive numbers getting laid down right now. Marco Andretti and Scott Dixon almost run identical laps. Now, we were talking earlier about lap times. I talked about Scott Dixon just ran a 1:19.17. Marco just ran a 1:19.21. That's as close as anybody's been to Dixon, and that's pretty fast for Marco. Doing a great job out there. I mean, that's a fast lap time.
He has made it look easy. He's led 32 laps today. We're working lap number 43 right now. It gives you an idea of the kind of domination that Scott Dixon has had here at Infineon Raceway. All right, we're going to go side by side. You won't miss a thing as Scott Dixon, 2 times this year, he has won. First, coming at the road course at Watkins Glen, where he repeated his win from a year earlier. And it didn't matter whether it rained on his parade. He took the win, and then he also went on to win at Nashville with Dan Weldon right behind him. Scott Dixon fourth in the points, but leading here at Infineon. The great thing about side-by-side is you don't miss a thing, and you saw what happened. Kosuke Matsura got turned around. You can tell by the damage on the left front wing of Buddy Rice. It was Buddy that had the contact. Let's go back and see if we can figure out who did what to whom.
Well, back in that turn 11, and you see Buddy Rice on the inside trying to get a dive down, looking at Koski, and we talked about it before, Rusty. It's just a situation where you have to have a clean entrance going in there, but the driver on the outside hopes that the driver will end up getting through there, and the driver on the outside hopes the guy on the inside will back off.
I'm going to go right back to saying, why is the spotter not there? I mean, they were so far apart from each other. That wasn't a tight thing. I mean, gosh, Matsuura needed to know that it was that close into him.
But there was a time when we drove these things without spotters.
Yeah, but they got mirrors on them, so it looks like they're not using those too good.
That's very true.
All right, there's the damage, and they're going to replace the wing. Let's go to Doc.
Yeah, Ricardo Naldo Company replacing the whole front wing assembly. Just that easy. Come in. It takes about 35 seconds or so to take one wing off. Tighten down the other nuts and bolts on the front wing. Is 4 of them, and the wing is already preset. And he is away. But Buddy Rice right now is not a happy camper after that incident you just saw a moment ago.
Well, another guy who's not going to be real happy is Scott Dixon. He had a 10-second lead over Marco Andretti and the rest of the field, and it's evaporated with our second yellow. We can tell you we still have 16 cars running on the track. Thomas Schechter has retired. He is done for the day, as is Jeff Bucknam. And from high above, you can see that the pace car has got him through turn 9 as they make that hard right-left combination. And we'll still be, looks like we'll be under yellow for at least one more lap.
That's a great shot there, Marty, showing the new turn 9. How it comes up the normal racetrack that NASCAR cars run on. If you follow the camera a little farther down, look at turn 11 here as you turn in, and the guys, how far the old turn 11 down is. So they've really shortened the course up there a lot for these cars.
Yeah, you want to have some crash damage with these cars? Let's go run that NASCAR loop at the far end. All right, Marco Andretti is coming to the pits. Jamie Little.
Well, Marty, Michael Andretti is here. Mario Andretti is here. And when that caution came out, Michael said this just throws everything out the window. Their pit strategy, it cost them to come in 12 laps early. They were looking really good up till that point. He comes in, no changes.
Fellas, Tony Kanaan completed his pit stop, as did Dan Weldon. You can see the drag race out, but let me tell you what Dan Weldon did. Very interesting. Like the last time, fuel only. He's going to continue with the same tires, but they're playing poker out here. Every time, Rusty, that they come into the pits, they lay the tires out, they get ready. They're hoping that somebody will take the bait. Chip Ganassi making the call, be ready and be quick, and they were.
Well, I'll tell you, Ganassi's a real smart guy when it comes to doing this. Mike Hull is his main guy there. Hull is also, but I tell you, I wouldn't. The other guy I'd be looking at is Roger Penske. Now, Penske, we all know he's been good at that stuff. Pretty impressed with the Andretti Green cars today. Dario Franchitti running 3rd right now. Herta, he's up to 4th. Those guys have put solid numbers down throughout the day. My mind just keeps going back to Dixon, though. I've never seen a guy be this dominant, lap after lap. Now, Andretti, Marco, Scott, he got up there this last couple laps.
Well, what I like about this right now is that Marco coming in, he's only about 5 to 6 laps short of actually making it to the end. Now, the more laps that we run underneath caution, the more chance he has of saving fuel and getting to the end of the event. Dixon, for sure, has one more stop. So is the strategy going to work right for Andretti? We'll have to wait and see.
All right, so we're going to go side by side. It's Dixon, Castroneves, Franchitti, Herta, Mirror. That's the top 5 right now.
How about this?
Back here at Infineon Raceway, we are just about ready to go back to green flag racing.
Dash lights are off. Straight and steady to turn 11, please. No movement. Straight and steady. Straight and steady.
Pace set by our leader, Scott Dixon. Second place is Castroneves. There is lap traffic between them. That is Ed Carpenter.
Green flag, starter, green flag.
You heard the call. And we're back to green at Infineon.
Castroneves really got no help by Ed Carpenter.
Dario Franchitti does get by as well, but you're right, a bit of a holdup by Carpenter on the restart. Saw some dust flying in the background. Somebody dropped a wheel. Whoa, look out. That was Vitor Mirror taking the dive underneath around Carpenter, and he makes it stick.
They've been beating Carpenter up a little bit. No touching going on right here, but Elio knew he needed to make that pass going into turn 1. That was a pretty aggressive move with cold tires, rubber built up on the tire, stuff like that. Scott to do that. And then, he got ambushed again going into the carousel.
You know, he's not really known as a road course racer. Talk about what he's going to do in the wintertime to try to improve his road course ability. Ed Carpenter is. Remember how great he ran at Kentucky just a few weeks ago? He's looking forward to the Chicago event, he told me just the other day, because they're back on an oval.
Now remember, Marco Andretti just pitted. That's why he is back in 10th spot right now. He's trying to wheel and deal, and that's Simmons in front of him. Jamie, you've got more?
Well, earlier in the race, he tucked up behind Danica Patrick and saved an awful lot of fuel. Well, the team is thinking about rolling the dice and maybe trying to do some fuel conservation now. Here's what Marco was saying on the radio to his engineer, Kyle Moyer.
Once you get up to the pack, I need you to save as much fuel as you can into these yellows. We're going to try to go on left? Yeah, we're going to need a little bit to help, but yeah, we ain't going to see you the rest of the day.
And his father, Michael Andretti, said it is certainly a possibility that they could go to the end of this race without coming back in. Guys, that could be huge. They're trying to bring young Marco Andretti home for his first win.
And 2 cars behind him is Dan Weldon. And Weldon has also managed to get around a couple of those slower cars. We've got a lot of action going on back in the pack here because of these recycling of the pit stops.
It's all scrambled up right now. You know, go back to Marco Andretti. They said maybe he can make it. That's over 32, 33 laps. I mean, he's really going to have to dial that thing back if he's going to make it and save fuel, like they said. So save your fuel, dial them back, the same thing, and rely on some caution flags also if they do come out.
I got a question for you, though, Scott. Does any Andretti have a history of being able to save a lot of fuel, that much fuel?
I'm not sure that I've ever known any Andretti. I raced against Mario and I raced against Michael that ever liked to go slow, so that might be difficult. But saving fuel is maybe just shifting the engine just a little bit before red line instead of 10.3, maybe around 10.1, and actually starting to get squeezing the throttle very gently. As we see some action going on here right now, looks like Simmons maybe got a little bit sideways as Koski's back on the track now and trying to make up some time. But saving fuel is an art, and I have to say, like I did before, Dixon is one of the best of them. Now we seem to have a full course yellow to see what's going on with this.
And we have no idea what caused this yellow. We're on board here. Let's go back and see if we can see what whoa, contact. That is debris on the racetrack left by the contact between, it looks like, Dan Weldon and Jeff Simmons.
And a carbon fiber wing sitting on the racetrack. If somebody runs over that, ends up putting a puncture in a tire, that's why they go ahead and put out the full course yellow. They'll clean up those pieces on the racetrack. Remember, the number 10 car, Danny Weldon, is running for a championship here right now. Jeff Simmons, the number 17, is not in the hunt for winning the title.
And it looks like the damage is on Dan Weldon's car. We're trying to see if we can see for sure. If he's going to have to come in, we'll get word from the pits.
Is your car okay?
Here we go. Well, actually, it looks pretty good. He's not saying anything on the radio.
Well, he's got a mark on the left side pod right there. That's about it. I haven't seen anything else wrong with the car.
You saw all the problems that Dan has had late this year, races where he has led, a lot of them the most laps possible, and yet he comes away with not a lot to show for it. Right now, he is shown in the 9th position, right behind Marco Andretti. Now, pit lane is still closed. You can see the big donut on the side of the car. Boy, if he has to come in now for that kind of repair, this could be extremely costly in the championship.
10-4.
Yeah, now this plays into Marco Andretti. Remember, they needed another yellow to get some more fuel mileage going for them here. We heard from Kyle Moyer before. This is a situation that could help the strategy right now for the 26 of Marco Andretti.
Very good after that. This one's going to be about 30 laps on these when we're done.
Here, Kyle Moyer right now giving you information about how many laps will be on the tires. This is where you have to be steady on the throttle, lean the fuel trim back on the steering wheel, and actually start to run as lean as possible to make mileage.
Jack, you've got more on Dan Weldon?
Yeah, believe it or not, as they're laying out the pitch, his teammate Scott Dixon wants to come in, as does Dario Franchitti. They did a quick review of Dan Weldon's car. So far, fellas, they don't intend to bring him in. He said to the crew, the car is fine. They said, okay. And now all of a sudden they're trying to make up their minds. Yes, they are going to bring him into the pits to at least top off the fuel.
Okay, and we've been told the pits will be open this time by, so we'll see who comes in here on lap 51 of 80.
We talked about Marco Andretti earlier winning the Bombardier Rookie of the Year award. If he does end up winning today, he'll be the youngest winner in the Indycar series, currently held by Scott Dixon at just over 20 years and 9 months, as we all know. Marco Andretti just 19 years and about about 5 months right now. I think at 19 years old, I was just getting out of go-karts and starting Formula Fords, Rusty.
You know, we haven't been able to talk about Marco enough after that great performance he did in this year's 90th run of the Indy 500. Just a great run out of that 19-year-old.
Well, his grandfather Mario won his first race in his first full season of IndyCars. It was 1965 at a road course at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Michael's first win came at Long Beach, a street course. So I guess this would keep up a family tradition if they could pull it off today.
And we were actually attending the event just a couple of nights ago at the Andretti Winery, not too far from the racetrack here. And Mario was saying that he has been impressed, and obviously he should be, but he said most importantly, I look for a driver that can take everything in around him. And he says Marco just seems to do that without getting excited. So something in the genes, or maybe in the water, or maybe in the wine.
What is it with all these wine, these vineyards? You got the Andretti's, you got Jeff Gordon, you got Richard Childress back in North Carolina. It's got a vineyard. They're all into it.
Where's the Rusty wine?
Yeah, where's Rusty wine?
That just doesn't sound right. Rusty beer sounds better to me.
And what brand would that be?
All right.
You know what it'd be.
All right, here they come into pit lane, and the race leader is going to stop. Now, remember, last year, Tony Kanaan made his last stop on lap 50. We're on lap 51. Kanaan went on to win the race. Jack Arute, they're coming your way.
And this should be the final stop for Scott Dixon as they rumble down pit road here. To the end of pit road, Scott Dixon will bring them in. Now, directly in front of Dixon are the Penske cars. As Dixon peels off, Helio Castroneves comes to work. I don't see any major changes on Scott Dixon's car. Jamie Little?
Penske cars come in. Roger Penske told Sam Hornish Jr. this is the one that counts. He topped off. He only pitted 10 laps ago. Helio Castroneves had a solid pit stop, guys, but Tim Cindric said they are worried about Dan Weldon and the guys.
Jamie, let me interrupt you. Jamie, let me interrupt you. Major problems with Scott Dixon. They were done, they thought, with their stop. But then the left front, they couldn't get the lug to tighten. It took them almost 12 additional seconds. This is costly. As he pulls into pit road, it looks to be a normal stop. Now look, they take off that left front tire, they put the right front tire on, and they can't get it on. All of a sudden, the jack's not high enough. There is a little bit of disconcerting effort there. They don't know how to get it up. Finally, they get it jacked down there, and Gilbert Swafford then does the work. But boy, that is an eternity. I don't care on what racetrack you're running on.
And Jack, we talked so many times about track position. It is so important here. He's got to get through all that traffic now. An opportunity to actually have a run-in with some other cars. That's the most important thing. But we said before, we liked Marco Andretti's strategy. He's now up front, getting yellow. He'll probably be able to make it to the end.
And we talked about it at the very beginning of our broadcast. Mistakes, miscues, and oops. And how they have played in the championship chase all year long. Scott just had one of those miscues in the pit lane. He now finds himself back in 12th. That's the farthest back he's been all day. And maybe the play of the day, that earlier pit stop, as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. Green flies. Marco Andretti is your race leader. Last year's winner, Tony Kanaan second. Danica Patrick third. Rice is in fourth. Dario Franchitti gets around Castroneves to take fifth. Helio sixth. Dan Weldon seventh. And Sam Hornish coming into pit lane. This is unexpected.
And this is championship repercussions right here. Did not get enough fuel possibly last time. No tires, just fuel.
The hose, we're being told, did not reach on the last pit stop. They did not get fuel in. That's deja vu from what we saw last race.
And Kentucky with Danny Weldon had the same situation, so we'll have to go back and see if we can find that. And here he comes out of the pits.
Didn't stall it.
Didn't stall. His wife's talking to him. Didn't stall it. Kept it running. That was very important. Big mistake on Team Penske. They put Hornish in this box. I cannot believe what happened to Dixon, guys.
Oh, pressure all the way around, not only in drivers, but also in the pit crew, guys.
Well, we talked about two of our four championship contenders that have the best shot here. Here's Sam coming out of the pits. He's hot in more ways than one.
Yep, just the balance of the car is so important. We talked about the rise in the racetrack, the hills and what have you. He ends up getting the car up on the hill. Watch him go into the turn right now. Remember, the back end just starts to slide around a little bit. Remember, probably even flat spotting those tires just a little bit. That is going to be a little bit of a rough ride for the remainder of the race.
That could be. You know, I saw some smoke come out of that left rear tire as he was going up that hill when he spun. Now, I don't know if it was fuel they got on that tire or what happened, but I think it's just totally uncommon. Those tires were already up to temperature. They weren't cold. So that's a strange thing. Back as we watch Marco Andretti here, he's been running some of the fastest laps a day along with Dixon. It wouldn't surprise me if we could see this kid just check out right now.
All right, let's reset the 4 top contenders. There's 6 that are mathematically in, but in reality, it's between the top 4. It is. As there it is, we'll get the points for you. There it is. Castroneves would be first. Hornish would be in second. Weldon third. Dixon would be fourth. 33 behind. Where are they all running? Well, Castroneves is running in 5th right now. Weldon is in 7th. Dixon is moved up to 10th from 12th. Hornish is back in 13th. Oh, man, this race just keeps taking different twists and turns. And we're not talking about the 11, 12 turns on the road course, folks. Stay with us. We're going to go side by side. Who's going to win this thing? Will it be the 19-year-old rookie, or will it be the man who won it last year, Tony Kanaan? Stay with us. Back here at Infineon Raceway, you are watching Scott Dixon. He has been dropping wheels. He has been attacking. He is now up to 9th. Let's take you back 1 week ago when it was Target Chip Ganassi's Dan Weldon not close enough on the final stop. They could not get the fuel in. It cost him his chance at victory. And then we come to this weekend at Infineon Raceway, and what happens here? The Jack just does not get that left front high enough. Then when they get it right, he loses an additional 12 seconds, and now he is duking his way back from 12th. He's now up to 9th. A man possessed.
He's very possessed. He's angry. He's mad. He's confused. Chip and Mike Hall are probably going, oh, man, I can't believe this, because he was dominating so much, gained a lot of points on the Penske cars. So, hey, this thing isn't over for Scott Dixon. He is driving so hard, so fast, laying some big lap times down. Pretty exciting right now.
Well, let's talk about what he needs to have happen here. Is he's starting to run a bunch of traffic, and it's going to be very difficult because a lot of those guys in front of him are road course racers also. They're not very apt to make a mistake, but what he needs to do is get through the pack a little bit more and hope for a yellow situation to pack everybody up.
Jack, what are you hearing from Dixon's camp?
Well, fellas, it's not what I'm hearing. It's what they've done to this race car setting up for this race. We all acknowledge the prowess that Scott Dixon has on road courses. So they sat Dixon down and they asked him, if you could have one corner where we could give you a 110% car, what corner would it be? He said 3 and 3A. He said, if I can get through that area and have the car not slip and slide and create a problem, that will make my day perfect. That's the way they've set this car up, and that's the way he's trying to carve his way through traffic right now. So it might have been some advanced debriefing before they even got here that might benefit this guy after that miscue.
Well, he's attacking Vitor Meira right now. They both got around the lap traffic of Kosuke Matsuura, but he has not been able to dispose of the number 4 car of Vitor Meira, and that is for 8th position on the racetrack. Now, where is Sam Hornish in this whole mix? Remember, he's the points leader coming in. He is farther back. He is shown in 13th position, and we're still waiting for him to come into view. And there he is. He's just coming down into the beginning of the S's. Jamie, you've got more?
That's right, Marty. Nobody's in front of him and nobody's near him behind him. Roger Penske, the team owner. Roger, sequence of bad luck there. What happened with Sam when he came in for the pit?
Well, we were a little too far in our pits. Normally we were changing tires, so we couldn't quite get the probe in, so we went out and then we brought him back in before it went green. And again, with this, we're on good shape for finishing with the fuel we have in, so we got to play a little different strategy.
What are you saying to him to keep his spirits up and keep him forging toward the front?
I didn't hear you.
What are you telling him to keep his spirits up?
Well, I'm just saying we got to make our fuel number and then stay on the track.
Roger Penske always telling his boy Sam Hornish, great job.
Isn't that what you've been saying all weekend long, Rusty?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what, he doesn't need any more bad luck right now. Penske doesn't. Both of his stock cars now have missed the chase for the championship NASCAR. They've had a miserable year. Kurt Busch has run pretty good, set on a pole, but had another problem yesterday. So now he's got a hose problem here. Both of his NASCAR cars have missed the championship. Tough day for Penske.
Not a tough day for Danica Patrick. She's running 3rd. Let's go back. We hear there's a little contact here between Vitor and Scott Dixon. And, ooh, yeah, that could cut a tire. Luckily, it did not tear off the front wing on Scott Dixon. He continues. Dixon still in 9th. Meanwhile, there is Dan Weldon. He is in 6th place. And here comes Scott.
You know, the tough problem about it, Scott can be running as fast as he wants right now, but boy, when you get back in traffic, if you don't have that clean air, it is so hard to pass, and Scott's been used to being up front all day long, just laying out those big numbers, those low lap times, and those fast mile-per-hour laps. But boy, when he's back there, that's tough. Now, we're going to look at the shifter cam in here in a second. You know, I'm going to revisit this, guys. Right there's a shifter in Scott Dixon's car. Listen to these numbers. These guys are shifting 38 times per lap. That's 3,040 shifts per race. In this race, they're going to shift over 3,000 times, Scott. Let's compare that to a NASCAR race. The NASCAR guys, 13 shifts per lap. About 1,400 they're shifting. These guys are really working this shifter knob right out, I'll tell you.
I always told you we worked harder in the car than you guys
worked
did.
pretty hard, you know.
No power steering.
I'm not going to rough you up, man. I like what we do. I like what you do, too.
Well, your car's 3,500 pounds versus what we have. And the braking system is not state-of-the-art, I'm going to say, like we have here. So you have to be really precise. But look at the work right now that number 9, Scott Dixon, is doing on Vitor Meira. He's so much better in the braking zone. But, you know, in that situation, Rusty, as you well know, you sort of want to give up the entry to the turn to get a good exit coming out, so I have a chance of maybe getting the guy going into the next turn.
Well, basically all the passing is going to happen for these guys under braking going at the corner. The problem is turn 9, where it's a good spot, and turn 11, it's real crucial. Those corners are real narrow. The racetrack's real narrow, so you can't get side by side through there, and that's where the problems are happening.
He's got another good opportunity coming up here shortly. He's getting ready to go down into the carousel, coming out of the carousel, heading up into 7. If he can get a good run on him here, that's another good passing zone.
And it's a fine window because you come out of this turn here and start to get up through the gearbox, 4th all the way up to 6th gear, and here we come down to turn 7, 155 miles an hour down to this braking zone here. This turn's about 50 miles an hour. Get the power down, nice and smooth. You saw the wiggle out of the back of the car. Scott Dixon right there. Remember, no traction control in these cars these years. It's all up to the driver.
Taking a look right there, that's Danica Patrick trying to get second place from Tony Kanaan. Right behind her is Dario Franchitti and Elio Castroneves. That is 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, all in your shot.
And all year long, you've been seeing these cars run so tight. It's the same thing again today. This IndyCar racing is just amazing how tight they run, how fast they go, how fast his pit stops are, how fast the cars stop when they're braking. You know, this platform they got for these cars is unreal. These Firestone tires have been great. These Honda engines have been great. These Delar and Pano chassis have been good. You got to commend it. You got to hand it to Brian Barnhart and his team of guys. They have assembled some really cool pieces and parts for these old hot rods getting around the racetrack. These cars will handle good, and they hardly ever break.
Well, Danica right now shown in 3rd, but it's been 20 laps since her last pit, Doc. She's got to come in one more time.
Exactly, Marty, and that last stop will be around lap 74, 75, some 5 laps from the checkered flag. But Danica, as they tell her on the radio, is doing a phenomenal job to keep the pressure up on last year's winner here, Tony Kanaan. Danica says she learned a tremendous amount about road racing when she ran the Rolex 24-hour race with Rusty Wallace and company early in the year. That's what got her thinking about how to drive a road course and how to charge and challenge cars in front of you. That's what she's doing right now. Jack?
Well, Doc, if Danica Patrick has got maybe 5 laps to go before she'll pit on pit road, if you talk to Kim Green and the guy in front of Danica, Tony Kanaan, they would like to go the distance. And I put in quotation marks like. How close is it? They may be 1 lap short of being able to complete this race without going to pit road. Guys, this one's going to get interesting.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, right now, we've got a 19-year-old out in front, and right now our Capital One no-hassle fast lap goes to Tony Kanaan on lap 43. Remember, we're working lap 62. That was at over 105 miles an hour. Not only the fastest lap, but he has the 2 fastest laps of the race. And right now, Marco Andretti, the 19-year-old rookie, 5.6-second lead over his teammate, Tony Kanaan. Can the 19-year-old hold on for his first career win? Remember, he finished 2nd at Indy. Back here at Infineon Raceway, in case you're just tuning in, let's get you caught up on what has happened so far, because this has been a very eventful race here at the Grand Prix of Sonoma. The Andretti Green Team running 1-2 up front right now with Marco Andretti in front of Tony Kanaan. And right behind is Danica Patrick. She's in 3rd, but she still has 1 more pit stop to go. Trouble for Scott Dixon, though, as they had trouble getting the left front tire on during the last pit stop. It dropped him all the way back to 12th. He's now up to 9th. Then when Sam Hornish had a refueling problem, had to make a second stop, he's too hot coming out of the pits, spins it, but manages to keep the car fired, and he currently is running 12th. And let's get caught up on fuel strategy for Marco Andretti. Jamie Little, can he go the distance?
Well, the team's been telling us he can make the distance, and if he does, that will be 35 laps, about 7 or 8 laps more than they had anticipated. Just a few moments ago, you hear Kyle Moyer on the radio with Marco.
You're a mile and a half quicker than Tony right now. You're a mile and a half quicker than Tony, so we can slow down a little bit. Yeah, you need to do better on the fuel, better on the fuel. You're bridging them by a half, so lift going in the corners better. Lift on the end of the straightaway.
And his father, Michael Andretti, straight face. You guys have a big-time strategy on your hands. Can you go the distance?
Gonna try. You know, I think there's a good shot. He's making really good mileage right now, and he's not getting pressure because the other people are in the same position. So, possibility.
So what else can he do? Is it just come down to team tactics and them working together?
Not a lot. Just, you know, like he knows Tony's not going to try to pass him, so that's something he knows in the back of his mind. So, you know, right now he's just he's out there trying to be smooth, backing off early, and just trying to save fuel and hope that we make it.
We'll see if he can go to the end, guys. He's very comfortable running up front. Last year in the Indy Pro Series, feeder series, he won from the pole and just absolutely dominated the race. So he's definitely comfortable. And with his teammate Tony Kanaan behind him, you can bet he feels like he could take it home.
That was one of 3 Indy Pro Series career wins that Marco had, and the gap is now down to 4 seconds back to second. Now, you heard Michael talk about the ones behind him in the same boat. Well, what he meant was Marco, Tony, and Danica all are stretching the fuel as far as they can. In fact, Danica, we know she's got to stop because she has got 5 laps more than Marco and Tony. But once you get to Dario Franchitti, their last pit stop was 14 laps ago, whereas Andretti and Kanaan was 20 laps ago. They can keep the wick up, guys.
And that's what they want to do. You want to run as hard as you possibly can and still trying to conserve fuel, you know, and there's so many ways to do that. You heard Kyle Moyer say to Marco on the horn, just so you know something, lift off the gas a little bit going into the turns and turn around and end up having a situation where you can actually conserve the fuel. Get on the gas a little softer. Just do all those things that you need to be able to do. And you can see right now he's just turning into the turn, getting on the gas smoother. Now, how can he do all this sort of information, maybe conserve fuel? Well, one of the key things is you see this knob that's right over here, and that knob itself is actually a situation where you can take it from being at 0 at maximum power, maximum fuel, and turn around and lean it down to as low as it would go, maybe -4, -5. And that fuel indicator sign that you actually see is that right in the situation here, and that tells him how much fuel he actually has on board, and that gives him all the information he needs, and also back in the pit lane, because those guys are really the strategists, Rusty, as you well know, and they tell him what to do. As Kyle Moyer is, get on the fuel, or get on the gas a little softer, get on the brakes just a little softer, let that car roll through the turns.
The way to be smooth is to drive smooth, just like you're saying, easy braking, easy acceleration. And back to your graphics, Scott, a little while ago, you know, I hear that these Honda engines, you can lean them down about 12%. That means they can take that knob from full rich, full power in position 1 and go all the way to position 8 and, you know, reduce about 12% of power but gain some precious fuel mileage. So I'm not in the car right now, and I'm sure Andretti Green won't tell us this, but I was him. As big as lead he's got right now, I'm sure he's leaning that thing down plus driving smooth.
And the most important thing is, because you are running less fuel, less horsepower, and you're going slower, the biggest thing, though, is the people behind him are in the same boat doing the same thing. That's why they're not gaining on him.
Well, and you see the 16 of Danica Patrick right there, and she is going to have to pit, and we hear it's going to be next time by, and that would be 28 laps since her last stop. Now, Tony Kanaan still running in second. The lead's back up to 5.4. I don't know whether or not he's protecting Marco. He's certainly not giving anybody a free pass to get the knob.
No, he's not protecting Marco at all. He's just doing what he's got to do. And talk about how track position meshes up. Scott Dixon has almost lost 2 seconds a lap from being marred back in traffic. Now look at Marco Andretti again. You know, I'm talking about his lap times again. he is outrunning the field almost a second a lap now, even if he is driving easy. Sometimes you drive easy and go faster, it seems like.
All right, 13 laps to go here at Infineon. Let's talk also about the championship. Elio Castroneves is in 5th. Dan Weldon is right behind him in 6th. Then it drops down to 9th for Scott Dixon. And Sam Hornish, the points leader coming in, is 12th.
Hit this lap. Fuel only.
All right, that's Danica's radio. Jack?
Well, you talk about that battle for points for Elio Castroneves and for Dan Weldon. It has not gone lost on them as well. The crews have radioed to Dan Weldon and reminded him that the only guy that they're concerned about right now is directly in front of their driver in that Marlboro red and white livery. They have been goading their driver, Dixon, to try and turn the wick up and try to get by. And you know why, not just for position, but for points.
And it's Dan Weldon right behind Elio Castroneves. And a couple of more spots. Dixon has gotten around Brian Herta, we can tell you, while you were finishing up that report. He has now moved up to 8th position. So remember, after the botched pit stop, he was 12th. He's got 4 of those spots left, and he still has 12 laps to gain some more ground. Now let's go back and show you. We got a report that Scott Dixon may have had some contact a little bit earlier.
Here we come to that. Turn 7 situation right there. There's Dixon just getting away with actually not being collected in that when that all happens in front of you. Very fortunate. This is the same turn that last year where Ryan Briscoe came down and ended up taking out Elio Castroneves and also Danica. And you know something, I guess paybacks happen.
Yeah, Vitor Mira took out the 5 car of Ryan Briscoe. Here comes Danica. She has got to pit. Doc, it's all yours.
Final pit stop. This will be a time stop. 3 seconds of fuel. Mike Francis, the fueler. 1001, 1002, 1003. They're going to hold her now. 4, 5. And she is down and away. She nearly ran out of fuel coming down pit road.
Anybody you come to, save us fuel.
All right, you heard the call on the radio. Meanwhile, Marco Andretti's lead is 4.9 seconds. It has been 24 laps since his last pit stop, and we still have 11 to go. And so far, guys, I don't remember anybody going longer than 30 laps. So this could get interesting. We're going to go side by side. You will not miss a thing. How is it going to unfold? Will Marco get the win, or will the fuel issue become major? All right, you saw in side by side what was going on as things have changed again. One of the beneficiaries was Dario Franchitti. Another was Scott Dixon. As we have 9 laps to go here at Infineon Raceway. That's Dario Franchitti. Once he got around Tony Kanaan and moved into 2nd place, I mean, he has checked out. Here's the pass.
A nice run right in the turn 7, gets past Kanaan, and then he puts the power down and checks out, and currently running about 1 second a lap quicker than the leader right now of Andretti. Now watch this situation here. Vitor Mira in the 4-car Lincoln Tech car comes in there, tries to get a few guys, and just bobbles everything up. And the guy that gets the victory on that one is the number 9 of Scott Dixon. He actually starts to move himself up to 5th spot.
Well, Dixon got around both Weldon and Mira because Weldon got hung out on the outside of Mira on that deal. So right now, Weldon has moved back to 8th. Dixon has moved up to 5th. What's going on up front? Marco Andretti leads by 3.4 seconds over Dario Franchitti. There's Tony Kanaan in 3rd. He's 6.5 seconds back. So AGR running 1, 2, 3. And if you go back to 7th place, you'll find Brian Herta.
Well, Dario Franchitti's just run one of the fastest laps of the day. He's at 119.60, almost 104 miles per hour average speed around this place. He's about 2 miles an hour faster than anybody out there right now.
Jack, you've got more on Dario?
Well, yeah, Marty. John Anderson has been like a... there's a crash. It looks as if, is it Brian Herta, a teammate?
Yeah, if this goes full course yellow, this is going to, and it has. This helps Marco Andretti make the fuel mileage. Tony Kanaan make the fuel mileage. These guys probably will not have to pit now. This is going to become a race, guys.
8 laps to go, and Brian Herta brings out our 4th full course caution of the day. So Marco may get the extra fuel mileage that he needs. Remember, you get twice as much fuel economy under yellow as you do under full green.
Oh, he's got to be loving it right now. I mean, this fell right in his lap. Although Dario Franchitti is flying, and he is an unbelievable good road racer. So, I mean, this could be get right down to it here between these two.
One of the things I wanted to ask you guys was Dario Franchitti's contract is up. You got the owner's son going for his first win. Does he dare go around him if he can?
Now, boy, if you're a race driver, you want to win the race that day. You know, maybe think a bit further down the road, but a little bit of teamwork here, maybe not intentional, but with Herta doing the spin and bringing out the yellow, maybe this is enough to actually help Marco.
Jamie, Andretti Green's running 1, 2, 3. What's going on?
Well, as soon as that yellow came out, a lot of Marco Andretti's teammates all applauded. Michael Andretti had a smile on his face just moments ago when Kyle Moyer, the engineer, said, Marco, get up behind that pace car and give me all you've got. Basically, conserve everything you have because we can make it happen. Jack.
Jamie, it's one thing when you're chasing your teammate. It's another thing when you're chasing the boss's son. That's what Dario Franchitti finds as a conundrum right now. But according to John Anderson and the team, they have told their driver that he is faster than the boss's son. The other thing to consider, fellas upstairs, is would you rather answer to Michael Andretti or to your wife, Ashley Judd, if you don't drop the hammer?
Well, it depends whether Franchitti's got a job with Andretti next year. If he doesn't, I'd be standing on it and going for it.
Yeah, that may be the biggest sign we get if he goes around him and takes the win.
Yeah.
Maybe we know where he's headed in the future. All right, let's also update you on the championship. There is Ashley Judd. You heard the reference to Dario's wife. She is in the pit area, and deep sigh there. She'd love to see Dario pick up his first win of the year. Behind the 3 Andretti green cars, it is Elio Castroneves. Behind Castroneves, it is Scott Dixon, another of our championship contenders. Drop back to 7th, you pick up Dan Weldon. Sam Hornish has clawed his way back to 10th.
Now this restart is going to be so important, not only for Marco Andretti and Franchitti, but also Dixon, because he knows that he is quicker. He has to get a good jump coming out of 11 to be able to make up a couple more positions.
Take a look at the points as of now. It would be down to 25 between the top 4. And again, Elio would leapfrog ahead of Sam back into the points lead with 1 race to go. 2 weeks from now in Chicago. Get your tickets, folks. It's going to be good.
We keep talking about how this is the closest points race in IRL history. It just keeps getting tighter. I mean, it's 33 points before the top 4. Now it's down to 25.
It could get even closer.
Pretty exciting, man.
Let's check in with Jack.
All right, fellas, here's the game plan for second place. Dario Franchitti has just been instructed, give it a go. Give it your all on this restart. If you can get by the 26, then it's all yours. But if you can't, then back off a little bit and try to make some fuel, and then come back with just a couple of laps to go and try one more time. This is going to be great, guys.
You got to be so aggressive to make the car work around this racetrack. And just as we were riding along there with Dario Franchitti, you saw him stick his hands up in the air. He's just trying to get some air going to those hands because, as you know, Rusty, you are sweating through those gloves. You work your hands so hard. Blisters start to appear on this racetrack. But this is going to be the restart of the year right now for Marco Andretti.
It'll have to be, that's for sure. I mean, this is going to be a tough one here. They got to get the debris cleared off the tire, keep the heat in the tires, and drive a perfect lap.
Now the pace car has pulled off. So now the field is under the control of the race leader, Marco Andretti, and he is hustling it pretty good around this race course, trying to get down to the restart line.
This is not what he's supposed to do. They're supposed to close the gap, as you can hear from race control right there. Set a standard pace of about 60 miles an hour.
Dash lights are off, teams. Dash lights are off. 6 has got the field. Straight and steady, please.
We'll let you listen to the call as we get ready to go green. There'll be 5 to go. This time 5.
Green flag, green flag.
Great restart by Marco.
Single file up the hill. Nobody's having a problem right now. Nobody tried to make any passes there. It's a smooth thing. Great for Marco. He didn't need any of that action going on. All right, now it comes down to fuel mileage. Who's going to make it, who's not? Did Marco make enough, or did he not make enough?
I think he's made enough. I don't think it's an issue, Rusty, right now. I think the issue for Marco in front is his tires good enough? Is he actually taking the shine off the tires to a point where he is not going to have enough grip? Where is his car going to work best? And is the 27 of Dario Franchitti, really that much quicker as we saw before the yellow, which is when Marco had to save fuel.
We got a race up front for the win with Marco. We got 2 points guys, Dixon and Castroneves, dropping their brains out, trying to keep each other behind or trying to pass them, because Dixon needs to get around Castroneves to gain those precious points if he's got a chance at Chicago to pull this thing off.
Dario Franchitti has 4 career wins. Marco Andretti has 0. Tony Kanaan obviously won here last year, has won already this year. So is Castroneves. So right now, what's your heart doing if you're Marco Andretti at age 19?
Well, you got to hand it to the kid. Look at this. He almost won the Indianapolis 500. Now let's go a complete different type of course, a road course. He's leading this thing too. I'm telling you now, I think he's got some good genes, that's for sure. He's very diverse. He's running great at all these types of courses.
Doc, you've got more?
And guys, as you watch Marco Andretti on the right side of your screen and Michael on the left side, they did telemetry studies a couple of years ago with the Indy Racing League medical teams, and what they determined was that at a place like this, a driver's core temperature can go over 103 degrees in the car. The heart rate can go over 170 and stay there. You are literally physically being just cooked and spent inside the car. And remember, Marco has had a bad cold all weekend, was under the weather last night and 2 nights ago. He has got to hang on somehow physically these final 4 laps. Jamie?
And I can only imagine the body temperature of his father, Michael Andretti, who's been standing here biting his nails. Right now, Kyle Moyer just told his driver, Marco Andretti, give me 4 more laps just like you did, and we can make it, guys.
Well, unbelievable, because I can tell you, he's the fastest kid in the field right now, outrunning everybody almost by a mile per hour, maybe 0.4 of a second, something like that. I'm looking at the monitor here, guys, up in the booth. But he is flying, and Frankitti's not catching him. He's just making some smooth laps right there.
Well, let's listen into the audio that we tapped in between Kyle Moyer and Marco Andretti.
Okay, I need nice smooth laps, okay? I still need some help on fuel here. That was a perfect lap. Give me 5 more of those.
So he says he needs a little help. He got the lap he wanted. He wants 5 more like that, but he only needs 3 to go now. Obviously, we had recorded that just a few laps ago. And Marco still, but he's running even quicker, guys. Instead of a 120, he's down to a 119.8.
But Dario Franchitti's also picked up his game, because the difference was just about 0.9 of a second. The first lap, it stayed the same for the second, so both of them are going just a little bit quicker. How much pressure is on a 19-year-old kid when you got to set the pace, you have to save fuel, you cannot make any mistakes as he starts to wind himself through the S's all the way through turn 8 up towards turn 9, up to 155 miles an hour.
That is Mom Sandy right there, and she is getting ready to bite the nails also. Michael's already chewing on his. Hers look a little nicer, though. They've got the paint. Ashley Judd, she just keeps watching the monitor.
Franchitti, Kanaan, Andretti, all running almost identical speeds right now. They're all almost 2 miles per hour, sometimes 1 mile per hour than the rest of the field. If I was Marco, I'd be going, come on, Dario, get off my bumper here. Dario's pushing a little bit, and Marco's pushing a little bit, and they can't save the fuel they want. It's really going to get close on fuel.
And Marco's opened the gap to 1.1 seconds over Dario Franchitti, and we have less than 2 laps to go. Is there enough fuel in the 26 NYSE Dallara?
Man, I wouldn't be counting on those gauges right now. I'd be backing off the throttle a little bit anyway, wouldn't you, Scott?
And you know what happens? You get through a turn, Rusty, and all of a sudden the motor just coughs a little bit because the fuel pickup hasn't got all the fuel it needed, and that just makes your heart sink because you go, man, am I going to make it all the way to the end?
Ashley's come out from underneath the canopy. There's Grandpa. He's wringing his hands.
And Grandpa's going, doggone, the only bad thing about this is Marco wins. He can't drink any of my wine.
That's true.
He's too young.
Not old enough. All right, coming down into the final corner. This time by, it'll be the white flag. And the only question will be, does he have enough fuel? Marco Andretti at age 19, 2.3 miles away from his first career win in the Indycar Series.
He needs about 0.9 of a gallon to make it. These cars are running about 1 gallon. per lap. He's awful close to making it. It's going to come right down to the field. He's got a big lead here. He's just got to drive smooth.
Guys, while this has been going on, Scott Dixon, Vitor Mira got around Castroneves. Mira's up to 3rd. Dixon's up to 4th. Castroneves has been moved back to 5th. Weldon is 6th. The championship chase is getting tighter. And Tony Kanaan peels off and is in pit lane. So Kanaan needed the fuel. He did not have enough. Does Marco. He's at the farthest end of the racetrack.
It's downhill from here. He's running down the hill. It's going to help him a little bit.
Okay, you got plenty of fuel to make it in. You got plenty of fuel. You're good.
You heard Kyle Moyer. He says you've got it.
I still say I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
He's not put a wheel wrong all day. I'm sure he won't for the next few turns, but can you imagine the emotions that's going on inside his helmet right now?
Remember at Indianapolis, it was a last lap pass on the front straightaway where Sam Hornish snatched victory from Marco Andretti. It won't happen this time. The 19-year-old is going to win at Infineon.
Okay, great job, kid. Great job.
That was big. That was a big win.
You can do some donuts if you want somewhere, but you don't gotta.
Kyle's done. Do some donuts somewhere. It's okay. Just don't burn up the motor. He's the youngest winner in Indy Racing League history. 19 years, 5 months, and 14 days old. Let's go down to Jamie.
Well, guys, we saw it happen at Indianapolis, but he wasn't able to pull off the win, and he does today. Michael, how does this feeling right now watching your son win his first race compare to anything you've experienced?
I'll tell you, I think he's better than me winning mine. I tell you, I feel so good for him. He drove beautiful. It was a tough race tactically, and he just drove to the numbers and perfect. You know, the kid's good.
How did he do it?
He just is good. You know, he's really smooth. He saved a lot of fuel, and you know, he drove the way he was supposed to drive when he was told. So he's good.
Marty, we got another Andretti headed to victory lane.
And we'll get a chance to talk to him when we come back. This will be our last break. It's Andretti, Franchitti, Vitor Mira 3rd, Scott Dixon 4th, Helio Castroneves 5th. We'll also update the championship points. Stay with us. And as we are back here at Infineon Raceway, let's go down to victory lane. Jamie Little.
What an exciting day it has been. Michael Andretti, Mario Andretti, his grandfather. Come on up, Marco. First time Indycar Series win. Marco, come on over here. He clinched Rookie of the Year. That was his goal at the beginning of the year, and then you changed your goals. You wanted to win. Marco, how'd you get it done today?
Well, pure strategy. My guys are the best in the business, you know. I got to say, awesome job to the NYSC crew. Consistent all day. Strategy was just brilliant.
You were talking to Kyle Moore, your engineer. He was telling you every single lap what you needed to do. How important was that communication?
Yeah, it was huge, and I was bugging him every lap. I said, give me an update, give me an update. You know, I just needed to know where I was, not only on fuel, but just, you know, the gap behind me. So very happy. Congrats to the boys.
Dario Franchitti passed Tony Kanaan, and I saw the look on your dad's face like, oh no, I can't control this. What was going through your mind?
No, I knew, you know, Dario's normally the king of saving fuel, you know, so I knew it definitely wasn't over. So we just had to stay consistent and, you know, use the tires more than the fuel.
Congratulations, Marco Andretti takes on the first win, and guys, this crew was the winning crew with Dan Weldon last year. They got the job done. Don.
All right, down on pit road, a couple of very tired Marlboro Team Penske drivers, Sam Hornish and Helio Castroneves. Helio, let me first get with you. A 5th place finish, what you had to do today to assume the points lead?
Well, again, finish ahead of this guy over here. I think Tony had a lot of problem. I don't know what the heck is going on, and he was holding a lot. Obviously, those guys didn't have much to lose. It was more me to lose points than to gain, and when they finally get an opportunity, they dive into me. I say, you know what? I know I'm ahead of this guy here. That's what it needs to be. Let's take to Chicago and go for it.
Very tight points championship. And Sam, you had to dodge some bullets today, and one of them got you going up the hill over there.
Well, the biggest thing that we had a problem with is we were running, I think, 7th and came in behind these guys to pit, and we didn't set any tires out because we didn't want Helio to have to go around, because since we weren't taking tires, and we didn't get over far enough to get fuel in the car, so we had to come back in and refuel again, and then I spun coming up the hill, which didn't cost us a lot, maybe one position the way it ended up, but the way it worked out is not exactly how we wanted it to, but we're still right there for the points championship, so a win at Chicago takes everything, so we'll go see what we can do.
All right, one race left to see who's going to be the champion. Jamie?
Well, Dario Franchitti put in a hard-fought race right there at the end. You were turning some of the fastest laps of any of the front runners. Dario, when you looked up ahead and saw it was Marco Andretti ahead of you, what was going through your mind?
I was trying to catch the rookie. I knew he was in trouble with fuel. You know, he had less than we did, so I was just trying to push. But he was doing such a good job through turns 1, 2, and 3 that he was really getting away, and he drove a hell of a race. You know, I didn't have the fastest car, nor was I doing the best job behind the wheel. My guys in the pit lane, the Klein Tools Canadian Club guys, were so fast today. They got me the position, so I'm very proud of them.
Congratulations, Dario Franchitti. Best finish of the season, guys.
All right, let's take a look at the championship chase because it's now down to 4. Vitor Meira and Tony Kanaan have been mathematically eliminated. Elio takes the lead by 1 over Sam, 19 over Dan Weldon. Scott Dixon only 21 behind. So the championship will go right to the wire, guys. Just what we were hoping for.
It's not over. One of the most exciting championships in the history of the Indy Racing League between these top 4 guys. Just amazing race today.
We're going to see you Sunday, September 10th. The Indy Racing League Series heads to the Peak Antifreeze Indy 300, presented by Mr. Clean at Chicagoland Speedway, and will crown the IndyCar Series champion on ABC. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Coming up next, it's SportsCenter. Congratulations to Marco Andretti, the 36th different driver to win in the IRL, and the first new winner since Adrian Fernandez back in Kentucky in August of '04. We'll see you in 2 weeks.